Hey, everybody, it's Tuesday. Welcome to the Giant Bombcast, episode 839, powered by NZXT. I'm your host, Jan Ochoa. Welcome to this May 7th, 2024. Today, we're actually getting rid of all of the news. We're getting rid of all the video games. You know what we're going to do? We're actually going to dissect chronologically in order the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef.
All right, let's go.
Expert on all things BBLs, Jeff Grubb.
Hi, 100%. You should see my search history. It's wild out there.
There we go. Speaking about experts on BBLs, we have expert on all substances. He's watching the Citizen app. He's watching the Neighborhood app. And surprisingly enough, he's also brought back the good old app from 2018, Yik Yak, Jeff Bacalov.
Oh, yeah, I did all that. I did all of that. I'm a neighborhood watchman now. I just stand outside yelling at people who come too close to my lawn.
Mm-hmm.
And our person on the streets, our dear friend Nikki Grayson. Nikki Grayson is reporting live from their place. Nikki, how is it feeling over there?
Hey, everybody, is going great over here. The news is we've got big news. Yik Yak, I don't know if you heard, but it is back. Everyone's favorite platform to bully other freshmen on has returned.
Good.
Is that what it was?
And, that's what I used it for.
Okay.
It's similar to the Jeremy Renner app. Someone in chat said that sounds right.
I don't think that's
I know
what
about that.
As far as I knew, Yik Yak was like Reddit, except there were no subreddits. You would basically tweet into it. There was like a character count, and it had up and down votes, and that was it. And it was just like a Revcron feed.
Oh.
And then you would post rumors like, this person gave this person a blowjob.
Wait, so it was like hyper local? You mean?
Yes.
Yeah. It started out, as far as I remember, in on college campuses. You had to be within the geo fence of a college campus, and then it would give you that. But then they expanded it, and then it shut down. Remember Yo?
No, I don't remember Yo.
I remember
Yo
Google
was-
Buzz.
No one
Google
does
Buzz
that.
was great.
You made that
Or
up,
what was
Grubb.
it,
What is
Plus?
Google
What was the
Buzz?
social-
Google Plus
Plus?
was different, but yes, that too.
What is
Yo
Google-
was just an app where you had a list of friends, and then there was a big button on it. It was purple, and it said Yo, and then you would press the button, and then you would Yo somebody,
Right.
and then it would just send a notification that said Yo.
Yeah.
To the
And I
person
haven't
that
been
you chose.
yo'd in so long.
You know,
I know.
I
Tell
wouldn't
me about
mind
it.
that. Everyone here has probably seen my phone and how many text notifications I have because I just don't read my texts because I suffer from that debilitating thing of like, well, I'm going to thoughtfully respond to this later. And then I never
is this-
thoughtfully respond.
Mm-hmm.
So are text messages like emails to you now? Because emails I have no time for either. I'm just sort of like...
Well, emails is just a bad number right now.
It's
emails
a
is the
different
new
thing.
snail mail, you know?
Oh yeah. People have been talking about this more too. Like I'll be in a meeting. And Aaron was like, "Oh yeah, email. Don't ever send an email." I'm like, I wasn't gonna, but now I'm definitely not going to.
now
I'm
I'm
scared.
not.
Yeah, like there was a moment where it was like, we're all in agreement here.
I'm like, oh,
That
okay.
Emails are
emails
over.
are the
But
worst, and they're
the
over.
text messaging is different, like because I'm right there with Jan on this one as well. Where it's like I see it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get back to that, and then I will like throughout the day like craft something in my head. I'm like, well, I sent that, and then I actually didn't send it. So
Yeah.
How
But
many
usually,
texts do y'all
if it's
have
important,
right now?
unread text. Is that what you
yes.
said?
Yeah.
I got 0.
Oh.
39, and they're all from one group chat that I have.
oh sure, yeah,
Okay,
totally.
okay.
If I read those, the number is now 12.
Okay. Bro.
Okay.
I don't know if it like counts them all up on Android, but I see it that one's. I got 55 unread from Kohl's.
Kohl's the clothing department
the
store?
No,
Yeah.
J. Cole. Grubb is
What do
just,
they
like,
need?
telling him like, stay out
you're
of that
congratulating him. Yeah, for
I'm like,
getting
no,
out.
don't get involved. Don't get involved.
Yeah, stay out, bud.
Yeah, save yourself.
It's weird you have like a texting relationship with Kohl's.
Well, they got discounts. They text me.
Cup-ons.
Mm.
Come on.
Mm-hmm,
You got to get those cup-ons.
I'm cupping on him.
Do you have a line after which, like, someone loses permissions to text you? So, for example, yesterday a website sent me a text And then an hour and a half later, they sent me another one that was like, hey, actually, we changed the coupon code. And I was like, congratulations,
boy.
you've lost ability to text me.
You mean
Like,
they
for-
lost access to you?
Yeah. Like, I immediately replied, stop.
How
Okay.
many unread text messages do y'all think I have?
190.
I'll go
300.
120.
Keep in mind, some of these are like receipts from stores, group chats that I've muted.
Sure, my number still stands.
My dispensary emailing me the weekly offers or texting
You
me
mean
the weekly
texting
offers.
you? Yeah.
600.
763.
Ooh,
Hell yeah.
that's a good number.
There we go.
DK Oldies has emailed me so many times since I bought that Superman for Dan. Every day, it's like, ready for a new experience? No one else is doing this. These are all the subject lines. A bundle you need to see. Retro gaming question? Thought emoji. Be the first to see these new games. It's Joey with a quick message. I will eventually block them, but I'm kind of still morbidly curious about this.
I just feel like rapidly approaching quadruple digits of unread texts is a thing that I could not live with.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Let's be clear. We're in different worlds. Because I know there are people out there that see the big number and it's like all they can think about, and I see the big number and it's everything I could do. Just like it goes out of my head immediately. I need to like put it in a whole other bucket, and it's not part of my life anymore. And that's
but you realize the psychology of owning an Android phone is different, right? Like I feel like it's not as.
Okay.
I still got the big. I'm like talking about like the big number, like 4,891 unread emails in my inbox. That goes. I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, I'm okay
So
with that
many
number.
of these is the dispensary that I frequent, and it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, you're gonna be there next week. You don't need to read it.
Exactly.
Here's my idea.
Okay.
Just mark them all as red, Jan.
Yeah. Like
Just
why don't
mark
you
them all as red at the same
just
time.
thought
Yeah.
that triggered Jan.
And if it's
I'm
and
looking
if
at my
it
inbox right now.
is important, they'll come back.
They'll come
man.
back.
Oh man.
What could the dispensary want? What could they want?
They want to see.
What could they
Scout.
need?
They want to see.
Speaking of drugs, I'm on drugs now too.
Oh, you on
Yeah,
the gear?
he's on the gimmicks.
Are you on the roids too?
I'm on the roids. I'm taking steroids.
Wow.
Why are you all taking roids right now? I didn't.
I
get
don't
the
know, but
memo.
like
I just started taking the happy pills. What's
Because
happening?
SGF's coming up. We got to get yoked.
Dan talked about all these side effects. I got nothing.
Damn,
Nothing
just
is
strong.
doing nothing to me.
Yeah.
Is this for your when your ankle got banged up?
No, buddy. This is like I had like swollen tonsils out of nowhere last week. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't anything, and it's gone now. I don't know. It's weird. I used to get tonsillitis chronically in my 20s, and then Stacy, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, had her tonsils removed. As soon as she got her tonsils removed, I stopped getting tonsillitis.
Wow, like that's when
I would get
that's
it
like
like
when
every 3 months.
it's compassion. I think.
Yeah, she took one for the team. Is basically what happened. Isn't that insane? Like,
Yeah.
I don't have like the science to support that. It's anecdotal still because there's no like
it's real though.
real thing. But I definitively remember like the line drawn where like I just stopped getting tonsillitis.
Why
I
didn't you just
tested
get
positive for mono for like 10 years. I don't know if that's part of this story. I don't know if that relates.
Okay, no,
Well, it is
no,
the
no,
kissing disease, right?
Yeah, that is the kissing disease. Tell me more.
I definitely had mono in like junior high because I remember I had to stop wrestling because it's like, well, if you wrestle, your spleen's gonna explode.
Were you wrestling right?
Well, I mean, yeah, I was wrestling too right, too correct, and that's why it was
licking that
dangerous.
mat, baby.
Wait, for a decade you were mono positive?
Yeah, and here's the thing, I haven't been tested since, and I'm like,
You don't have
maybe-
mono. You're
Okay,
too
well,
energetic.
listen.
I'm sorry. Like
I right. Maybe I don't have mono, but there's something that happening inside of my body, I think, that is causing it to show up as mono positive. Because I remember being like, well, that's weird, because it was like well out of high school.
yeah, but there's so many symptoms associated with mono.
Yeah, but I'm sleepy a lot.
Yeah, but you're
I think
not.
that's one of them.
I know, like, every time I see you, I'm in awe of your energy.
I used to be a lot more energetic, though. That would have been way more to deal with. Yeah.
This is post mono, Grub.
Yeah, people at the FedEx sorting facility used to ask me to chill out after a shift. They're like, how do you still have energy? I'm ready for another one. Let's go. Bring out another plane filled with boxes.
What if you went to the doctor?
I'm thinking, like, what if I went to the doctor and explained? Here's my problem. The last doctor I went to and explained anything, he was such a chump that it was like really frustrating. Yeah. I'm like, I'll go explain this, and they'll be like, cool story. We don't care. I'm like, okay.
I don't think men should be allowed to be doctors.
You know what? Honestly, Nikki, you're right.
Like, all the positive experience I've had with medical professionals for the last 10 years, especially since having kids, women.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I just don't think that men should be allowed to be doctors.
Men are trash. We know this. I mean, look at me. So, yeah, Grub. Hey, what about you mark out on a Monday that you're just going to be gone? Okay. Because you're going to go talk to a new doctor.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll do that next Monday. There we go.
Maybe before maybe before SGF even.
Yeah, do that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, because now I'm concerned for my child's well-being.
Well, just don't
you're walking around saying that you're mono positive.
No one's gotten mono from me. I don't think.
I'm just gonna stop kissing you.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna stop tongue kissing you.
Yeah, that's not an option.
The team bonding experience is just gonna plummet then. All right,
we'll find other ways to bond, Jan. Don't worry.
It's not gonna be the same.
No, it's not gonna be the same. We can't kiss in front of Mickey.
Oh no,
Mike wouldn't allow that anyway.
Yeah, that's disrespectful to Mickey.
Like,
yeah,
you can't kiss at Disneyland. I think that's a Menotti rule. Folks, we're gonna do things a little bit differently today on the Bombcast. We're actually gonna start with the news.
Oh, I wonder fucking why.
Yeah, did something happen?
Hi, everybody. I have the news here, and we're starting with it because of poor management and bad companies just sucking left and right. Microsoft is closing down Redfall and Hi-Fi Rush Studios, among other cuts. Microsoft is closing 4 Bethesda studios, Arcane Austin, Alpha Dog Studios, Tango Gameworks, and Roundhouse Games. The decision is part of a reprioritization of, and this is their words, high-impact titles by Xbox Game Studios. Redfall, Mighty Doom, and Hi-Fi Rush were among the latest games released by these studios. Arcane Leon will continue development of its projects. Tango Gameworks will close entirely. Roundhouse Games will merge with ZeniMax Online Studios. These closures will have some people losing their jobs. I would imagine quite a few people, actually. That's the short version of it. They made this announcement this morning, and they basically repeated a bunch of things saying, yeah, this is about moving around resources to things that are going to be our bigger games, blockbuster games. I guess, okay, what's the initial reaction to this? And then we can get some of our long-term thoughts about what the future is. I guess I'll start. I think a lot of people are saying hey, this is the result of consolidation. I think this probably would have happened no matter what with some of these studios, especially since the way Microsoft operates, where it's all these studios have their own sort of little bubble that they exist in, and they have to make enough money. It's not well, Microsoft makes enough money, you're definitely safe. It definitely seemed like for a while there, it's well, you won't get shut down. Clearly that's changed. But to me, this signifies that I think for Microsoft, the strategy that they had shifted to of hey, Game Pass and getting a bunch of games on Game Pass and have all these studios put out games, whether they're big games, small games, whatever. We just want content. That doesn't seem to matter. And believing in a studio like Tango Gameworks that put out one of the best games of last year and be giving them another chance to build on that's not in the cards. That's not an option anymore. It seems like the whole thing just doesn't work, and they are shifting probably towards, hey, we have Call of Duty, let's reinvest in that.
I just I don't see any type of motivation to try and work for a AAA game or try and make that or be acquired by one of these big studios anymore.
Right, because you thought you would be safe, right?
Exactly. You would think there's
$2 billion in profits last quarter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, it's the kind of thing where they make so much money as an overall corporation that you just assume, okay, well, you made these choices to acquire these companies. You said, do what you want to do. They did it. And those games came out, and many of them were successful. Redfall wasn't, but that is a studio that has had successful games in the past in terms of, at least in terms of critical reception. And it just feels like there's a disconnect. Like, okay, well then let's try it again. Maybe change up a few things, but let's do what we can to make the next game even bigger. That seemed like what should have been before them, and instead they're just ripping these things out of the organism and throwing them onto the street. And it's unbelievably disheartening, because it seemed like, okay, the whole point of something like Game Pass and your new strategy and acquiring all these studios was, let's let them just make what they want, and let's give them a home in this this ongoing service that will justify everything we do. And now that is no longer the case. And I just kind of don't know what the future is for Xbox, other than, yeah, sure, we're going to have an Indiana Jones game and there's going to be a Call of Duty every year. Beyond that, are they just giving up on all these other games? It seems like it at this point.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Oh, no, sorry. That's the thing that I fundamentally don't understand with these moves, or with any move that is like where you are shutting down a team at this scale. You've just spent $69 billion on Activision Blizzard, right? Which has a bajillion IPs underneath this umbrella. You need teams and people to to justify the purchase, right? Like, yes, if you put Call of Duty out of the room, you need to justify the purchase by having studios make games using the rest of the intellectual property inside of the company that you just bought. Also, those teams make their own very good games. I agree. Make those extremely good games already. You can hire more people later, but like, you already have these talented ones in the fucking house. Like, I simply don't understand. It's so short-sighted. And it's like, yes, it makes the numbers look good this year, but then in 2 years, like you just said, Grub, you release Indiana Jones. Xbox releases their slate this year, and then what?
Yeah, and it's like we see the strategy of everyone's been like, hey, we are doubling down on our biggest stuff. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I've seen a company already do that and have some success. And that's the Sony Computer Entertainment Company. And they are also like, okay, and now we're looking around, hey, where's the growth? We don't know where it's coming from. We need to make some changes as well, even though we double down on all our biggest games. And most of the stuff we've done recently is either making sequels or remasters or remakes of those games. And people want those things. They are buying them, but it's not enough. We also need to grow. So it's like they are going to shift more towards that strategy. Again, this is their words of high impact titles. That's what they're interested in. Yeah. And I at a certain point, if you couldn't make the Game Pass strategy work, where it does enable them to have a chance to make something like a Hi-Fi Rush or Pentiment and make those things make sense, then I think you have bigger problems than one studio not making enough money.
It doesn't make sense where like these studios feel like they're being punished where other aspects of the company may not be measuring up, that they're completely out of control, is out of their control. I worry about Indiana Jones, right? It's a massive IP. People are very excited about this game. I'm hoping and I'm thinking it's going to do very well, but is that going to be enough for Microsoft? Is that going to be enough for Xbox? Or are they going to just lose are they going to get shut down like 5 months after the game is out?
Yeah.
The thing that is starting to bug me a little bit is people being like, they lied. It's like, yes. They always lie. It's like, stop taking their fucking word.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever going to make sense because everything is always a lie. It doesn't matter. It does not fucking matter. And if you think it matters, then you're paying attention to the wrong fucking ball game. Because there are only a very, very few people at the top, at the tippy top, that are making decisions. That group of people is incredibly small, and they're incredibly ruthless. And they don't care about anybody. It doesn't fucking matter. Stop being surprised. Is what I like that. And I don't mean that to be like, I just think people are fooling themselves the more they're like, I have the receipts. They promised. They said this at this press conference. This is what they're No, it doesn't fucking matter what they say. It doesn't fucking matter.
because
And that
they'll
happens
tell
over and over.
Yeah,
Over?
and they'll,
Like, have you not learned this by now?
yeah,
Fucking
because
over.
they'll tell you anything,
Yeah.
right?
You kidding?
in
To close?
service-
What?
yeah,
Like, come
in
on.
service of getting you to be confident enough in them to continue to buy a box or buy this EXE. They'll tell you whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah,
But like
and
that
keep
they
going,
answer
sorry.
to. No. But the people that they answer to don't care about that. Like fundamentally, they're looking at a number on a screen, and that number needs to go up. And if that number does not go up or stays the same, then it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do to make the number go up?
And it's politics on like every side because I wasn't like gonna bring this up because I don't want to like make it about the stuff I talked about before, but like the Tango GameWorks Hi-Fi Rush thing, and at the time reporting that it cost this much and only made this much and it didn't make its money back and all this stuff, and they came out and basically denied that. What they said was we couldn't be happier. It met all its key measurements that we put up against it, and now people are holding that up and like, hey, they clear. What is this? This is aged poorly. And part of that is that like, hey, okay, maybe some key measurements it did meet at the time, but clearly they have been putting this thing on PlayStation and trying to make more money from it. But the reason they really came out at that time, and I talked about this, but this was by then it was like buried. The reason they did that is they were trying to make Tango GameWorks let them like realize that, hey, we care about you and we don't care what anyone else is saying. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the money may not be there, but we believe in you and reinvest in you. Now, what has happened since then to change that, I have no idea. But at the time, the reason they were so ferociously like against what I was saying is because they wanted to make sure that they didn't think internally at Tango GameWorks that Microsoft didn't believe in them. Cut to a year and a half later, they don't believe in them. Where does that change come from? Well, I think it's a couple of things. I think the overall like macroeconomic situation of investing in games from all these studios has changed, and like they don't think that that's necessarily always going to pay off. But it's like, boy, how does that not scare every other studio at Microsoft and really across the industry? Yeah. Everyone is in a similar situation. But the idea was, $2 billion in profit last quarter, $22 billion in profit the year before that. What is the point of acquiring all these things if you don't like give them that safe space to operate in, right, and let them have a stronger buffer? It's like, no, you are just as expendable now as you were before. There is no difference. And when you say you believe in us, a year and a half later, that could change and we get to cut like everyone else. This looks really bad for Microsoft, like this situation that they're in now.
Yeah. God, I just think of the story on Game Mess, I think it was last week, Grub, where Microsoft was saying that they want to meet gamers where they are. And that's completely fine if games like Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, are headed to PS5 and other platforms, whatever. That's great. More people can play more of these games. But then they go and do these, close down all these studios. And it's like, where are you going to meet these gamers with? Are you just expecting to meet them with... I know everyone's joking around now that like you're just going to meet them with Candy Crush and Call of Duty, but
yeah,
really,
but I think that has to be what the plan is, though, right?
Yeah,
because that's where the money faucet is.
Yeah,
and it's like if that's the case, and they'll never do it. But if they were like, we're actually just going to lean in to the fact that we have Call of Duty and Candy Crush, and like in theory, like Fallout, we have 5 games. Just do what Activision used to do as recently as 3 years ago, which is say we have 3 video games that we make, and that's it. Every year 3 video games come out, and that's all we do. If that's what you want to do, then just fucking lean it. Like just do it. But like don't like have this like, actually we're invested in a big like we want to, like you said, we want to meet everybody where they are.
Yeah.
Like that's not true. Like I have no interest in playing Call of Duty actually. And like if you're trying to meet me where I am or meet other people where they are, you actually need smaller games like this. And like that keeps the industry healthy. But
like they've had so many conversations over the years and declarative statements, and this goes back to Baclar's point of like, well, we want to make we want to lay claim in Japan. We want to put stakes out in Japan and like really invest in that market. And then you just shut down a whole fucking studio.
The one Japanese studio that you had that was, kind of finding its way. It felt like, Shinji Mikami has left. And maybe that's a big part of it. I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, it's like these companies weren't profitable enough. And the overall Bethesda the structure is probably looking a little bit rough because I don't think Starfield made as much money as it needed to make to justify the whole dance. And so I think that they're just like these studios are getting cut off because of a profit and loss sheet, and that's it. But from the perspective of people playing games, I think we look at Tango Gameworks and like, no, they're figuring stuff out. Hi-Fi Rush, that was awesome. Yeah. Hi-Fi Rush 2 is going to be great. If they came back and announced, Evil Within 3, I think that would have been that would have popped off really big. I think that Microsoft probably just doesn't have the appetite to see these games get announced and have a 5-6 year development cycle and not be a sure thing. Where it's like we do have sure things now, so we're going to look at those instead. And it's like, you bought Activision and they sort of like that mentality was unavoidable at a certain point. Like if you do the path of least resistance and you operate under the one guidance being return shareholder value, you sort of can't help but become Activision if you acquire Activision.
Sure.
I think that's what it seems like. That's what's happened.
But that's the thing that was so thoroughly confusing to me when I was working at Fanbyte and they announced it. I was like, isn't it cheaper all across the board to just sign Activision to an exclusive deal than it would be to merge this company into this company? And I know that like the way that American business works is that it's multiplicative, right? Like you put your numbers together, number go up so big.
Yep.
But now you're in a situation, if you're Xbox, if you're Microsoft, where it's like, okay, you have to justify this thing that you bought. You know what you wouldn't have had to justify if you didn't, the business that I invented at the beginning. Do you remember this? If they were like a middleman, if they were allowed to be like, we think we're going to spend $69 billion on Activision, and they set it in a box, and they were like, well, let's think about this for 4 fucking months. But instead, now you're in this. Now you're just fucking Activision.
Yeah,
infuriating.
Okay. So they have confirmed already that the June showcase is going to happen for them.
Yeah. What about next June?
Yeah, I mean, right. What are they going to have then? But they come to this thing, and are they really going to get people to have confidence in these games at this point? When it's like, why? At a certain point, I'm like, okay, I know you're going to not abandon some of these biggest things, but something like Contraband from Avalanche or whatever, that one that had the Steely Dan soundtrack thing. It's like, okay, yeah. Maybe that comes out, maybe it doesn't, whatever. But is it something I'm really want to spend my time with? And if I'm like, if I'm not sure that you're going to stick with it as a franchise going forward, if you don't seem interested in it, and when we know what happens when you lose your interest, kind of feels like I should maybe just wait and see instead of getting excited about a lot of this stuff. And then they have a ton of games already announced, and I'm as part of the fallout from this, it's like, hearing more and more, and I've been hearing for years, Perfect Dark in a rough state. Sounds like it's in a very rough state.
That game was announced when I was in college.
Yes, and it doesn't sound like it's really come together in any way since then. And Crystal Dynamics coming on board to help work on that.
If only within the Microsoft umbrella, the Xbox Game Studios umbrella, there were any sort of teams that had any experience making first-person shooters.
Yeah, and it's like that.
It
sounds like they don't even know.
That's wild. I don't know.
That's what they want to do with that. Yeah,
it's
and they have these things that have already been announced that they have to deliver on, and they're probably going to come out with some new announcements as well. We know we have a pretty good idea. Gears will be there. There'll probably be some other stuff, even stuff from like the Bethesda umbrella that will get announced. And at a certain point, it feels like, okay, but the whole stench around Xbox is bringing all these things down, and not like in a way where once upon a time it would have been like, oh man, Xbox is figuring things out, and like that makes me feel better about all these other things. And at this moment, it does not feel that way. And this is very similar to like the stories from last year, like going into Summer Game Fest, and like they had a bunch of layoffs then. I think there was a whole bunch of problems with Xbox going into last Summer Game Fest. And it's like, well, if they figure it out, put out some good games, people start to feel a little bit better. Maybe they build a bright future. It's like, well, nope. Things kind of didn't improve across the board. And so they have made even deeper cuts, and they've abandoned some strategies that they started just a couple of years ago. And boy, I don't know how you feel good about this company at this point.
I would feel really scared to be on like a team that's working on an existing project like Overwatch 2 or World of Warcraft, right? Of like, we're making money still, kinda. Are we making enough for y'all to keep us around?
Yeah.
You know, like they've like Overwatch 2 has been through the ringer in terms of like canceled updates, canceled plans. I just hate to see how that team may be feeling under like the pressure that they see with everything collapsing around them. And like with World of Warcraft being on a pretty big upswing in terms of numbers compared to the last previous years, does this sour any of that audience at all? That they think like all of their stuff is going to get yanked from underneath them, that they just jump ship to a different MMO?
Or even like further down that line, Jen, like they announce, say they, I don't know, God knows how many games are rolling out this year. Then those studios that will have released their video games between now and like, let's say this time next year, their games will come out. Inevitably, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They will not reach those goals. Like just numbers wise, based on Xbox's previous history of like the games that they're producing, it seems like their goals are way too high for the titles that they have. And instead of like adjusting those goals, it seems like they are still holding them to like impossible standards.
Yeah.
All I feel like is going to happen next year is that we are going to be in this exact same boat where two more studios are going to be shut down, or people are going to be like, they're going to be like, or like what they just did. They're going to shut the studio down, but be like, oh, actually, not all of these people are losing their jobs. They're just going to go work on Fallout 76, which has how much time left in the tank?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like that game is old and not like huge numbers right now because of the TV show. But without the TV show, how much longer did that thing have?
Yep.
Not very long. I don't know anything, but I wouldn't feel like very much longer.
And like we could like
bizarre.
look ahead to some games that like, you know, Ninja Theory's Hellblade 2 comes out. Like, wow, okay, how well does that need to sell? And
Jesus.
Even like Indiana Jones, like Machine Games has put out some games I've really loved, but none of them have like really broken out in terms of sales, and some of them have done really poorly, including that like cooperative Wolfenstein game.
Oh, Youngblood.
Youngblood, yes. And so it's like, okay. I mean, are we in a world where like a Machine Games gets shut down or you know, spun off or sold off or something like that? I don't know. That doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility at this point. And again, it's like makes the whole thing stink. It makes the whole crop of games feel like, oh, the stench of death is here.
Like no matter how abysmal and disappointing Redfall was when it came out, back of my mind somewhere, I was thinking, they might be able to turn this around. Vampires are always hot. People still love vampires, whether being them, sleeping with them, or killing them. And that like Redfall somehow could have like made through the Hail Mary and pulled it off and made it like a big switcheroo. Even something like Starfield, right? Could have massively turned around and like garnered back the public support, because Cyberpunk did it, right? No Man's Sky did it. So like I was hopeful that would be possible. But now like with something like Starfield, like are we going to see like big projects that have the potential to make that 180 just get canned and just like, nah, you're just making Call of Duty now?
I think in this environment right now, that seems like it leans more towards, no, don't even try to bring it back. It's not worth it. Even though we've seen it happen over and over again, it's going to save us more money in the short term to just cut these things off and move on.
Well, so I guess the thing that I'm still trying to square, as much as I'm like, oh, you just have to operate from the position of like, I can't believe anything you say. Putting that in a vacuum for a second, after this, the size of this acquisition last year, right? Like, I guess I just can't square like how that sort of coexists with everything, and just sort of like, is this a sort of like retroactive rationalization for like, you know, expenditure and like loss prevention, some sort of like like, is that whole thing just a preemptive acquisition in terms of just like strategic, you know?
I mean,
what is all that is basically.
I think it's two separate things is actually how they view it. It's like we have a lot of money sitting in the bank, and Satya Nadella is willing to listen to anybody about who might know some way to get a return on that stuff, because all that money's doing right now in the bank is losing value because of inflation. It's losing value way faster than it used to. So we want to spend it. We want to spend it bad. And then as inflation got worse throughout that process, they're like, man, we locked in a price when when now that money's worth a lot less. So good thing we locked in the price when we did. We're going to see this thing through. And then on the other side, it's like all of these companies inside of Microsoft, they really are their own little like business infrastructure, to the point where if you especially if you work at like Activision, you're like, well, maybe I could transfer over to Bethesda. There's no process for that. You have completely different 401k, completely different HR. Everything is so separate. And that's like not just true of like Activision, Bethesda. That's like Microsoft Games and Bethesda. Like if you work at 343, you can't just like one day be like, hey, can I go shift over and work at Bethesda? It's like, that's a huge process, a pain in the ass. They have nothing set up for these things. And that like filters all the way down to each team sort of needs to make their own money. I remember when Sea of Thieves launched, I talked to Joe from that team who oversees that project, and I'm like, well, you're part of Game Pass, so as long as Game Pass is doing all right and people are subscribing, you should be fine, right? He's like, no, we have to make money. We have to make a lot of money to make this game make sense for Microsoft. It was true back then. Feels like it's more true now. And I think if you just look at the studios they shut down, it is an example of them looking at their profit and loss sheet and being like, these studios didn't make the money they were supposed to make. And so what is our option? We can reinvest in them. And I think that was at one time the goal. And then as, people are spending a little bit less money on games, they're like, never mind. Let's just not do that. And again, that's the big problem for me.
Yeah. And like, you make a commitment to reinvest, right? But then you have to understand how long it takes to make a fucking video game, right? You don't like commit to reinvestment and then 12 to 18 months later say, just kidding. That's not, you don't make a game in that much time. You don't that's not how much time it takes to make a video game. So like you can't ever, and this feels like Sony and Microsoft are kind of on the opposite ends of this spectrum, right? Microsoft makes unbelievably short-sighted decisions all of the time, and Sony gets complacent, where like they sit in their bubble and they're like, oh fuck yeah, we were making more money than God, and it's sick in theory, like in the past, right? Like not now, but like we're making more money than God, and we can just keep making the games that we make right now, and that's going to be set and fine. And it's like, actually, no, like this isn't working. And also, if you make short-term decisions all the time, that doesn't work either. So it's like there's no vision past the next earnings call.
No.
Because the next earnings call is when they have to report to the people who are really actually in charge, right? And it's like, well, actually, if you just said, we're going to wait 3 fucking years, just shut the fuck up Friday for 3 calendar years. So we can see what happens. Give us the time and space to run so we can actually release some video games under this new directive.
Right.
Yeah.
But then actually, if you just kneecap everybody halfway through, then like, yeah, of course it doesn't work. Like, of course the Excel document's going to look bad.
And like the other aspects of that is like, again, a lot of the stuff, other decisions that Xbox and Microsoft are making are out of control of the developers, like how hard they're pushing Game Pass, how the consoles aren't selling well, and how it doesn't seem like Xbox as a whole is any more of a viable platform, but you are owned by Microsoft, so you can only make the games for this platform unless told otherwise, or finding out further down the line after your game is out that no, you can release on Switch, you can release on PS5. It feels, I think it must feel terrible right now, especially of like, we're gonna get kneecapped either way. Like, it doesn't seem like there is a path forward that is sustainable for any of these studios.
And it works backwards too, where it's like they, when there's no path forward, they make decisions outside of these developers' hands, and they only see to the next quarter. And then you're like, okay, well, then what would be a solution to those issues? It's like if there was a strong, like, centralized vision from these leaders that have been at this company now for a very long time, And the thing I always hear is like, no, that's not really there. There is no strong vision.
Crazy.
And what you can expect from the company, though, is a lot of politicking, a lot of people just trying to make decisions that don't get noticed and stay out of the way, and then trying to undermine one another. And this is all up and down the infrastructure of the company. But then like, okay, so then what, like, these leaders that have been there for a long time, what do they have to say to these companies to sort of guide them along? And there's a vacuum there. There's this big space. And boy, all this feels like it's rooted out of that, where it's just every lack of strong, or every bad decision feels like, why didn't they think of that? And it's like, well, they aren't really looking that far ahead. It's like they had a lot of money to spend. They're doing that. And that's an easy choice to make when you have a ton of money sitting in the bank. But beyond that, what to do with those studios once they have them, clearly that was not there. And I think we were seeing the evidence of that repeatedly now.
$69 billion. Jeez.
$69 billion. And like, to not have a thorough, this is why another reason why I was so shocked. I was like, you haven't even done to, like, at Microsoft, like when they started announcing that they were, what was the E3? Was that 16 or 17?
2018.
18. When they were like, we've acquired everybody.
Yeah,
and it was like
when they had
word?
like not Devolver, Tim Schafer's studio and
Double Fine and Ninja
others,
Theory. Yeah, and it was like, okay, like I see what, like, sure, yeah, like this makes a lot of sense. Like, one of the things that you can always point at Xbox Game Studios is that there's no breadth, right? And this gives you breadth. And then they didn't do anything with it. Like, they did nothing with it. And before trying to figure out what they could have done with the shit already in the house, they saw, you know what would be cheap right now? Activision. Yeah. Okay, so we'll spend $69 billion on Activision because that's cheap. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot of money.
And that's Microsoft. They say repeatedly. It's like, we think that the value we'll get out of owning that will be way more than the $69 billion. So for us, it's a no-brainer. And I get that, but okay. You bought these studios 4 or 5 years ago. The whole idea was like, let's see what they can do. And at no point does it feel like we saw what they could do. It feels like we never got to that point. There was a bunch of legacy decisions that were left over, a bunch of contracts that needed to be fulfilled. That got us stuff like Ghostwire Tokyo and a bunch of other games that were like, okay, those are going to PlayStation first even. Like, that's weird. Well, like, okay, they're seeing the stuff through. And then once they get past that, we'll see everything. And that never happened.
Yeah. Because there was no time there. Again, there's like, they forget how long it takes to make a fucking video game. Like, you have to commit when you buy a video game studio that's actively in production on a thing. It's double the amount of time. Like, fundamentally, it's just double the amount of time because they have to do the thing that they're already working on, sustain that, and then they can start working on the thing under your umbrella. It's so infuriating because it really isn't this hard. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I shouldn't feel like I could run this company better. At any point.
Yeah, and certainly, I think at a certain point, the leadership has to answer for it, right? At some point, and it doesn't feel like that's happened yet. So
I think I might be able to run a $1 trillion company, y'all. I think I
can clearly can't
business. Yeah, maybe I don't even have to look in my emails to run this company.
Yeah, at that point, you have someone else looking for you. Yeah,
yeah.
Just show up to the meetings.
Don't even do that. Have a person working for you show up to the meetings.
I don't even have confidence now that like I will ever be reinterested in playing Call of Duty. Like, I can tell you that. Like, I am just not a fan of like how the game plays. I understand there are people that really enjoy it. We have 2 COD people. Nikki, I forget if you're a recovering COD person.
Nah, I worked on one, so I'm out.
There we go. But like, I'm never going to get interested in it at all. And I don't know what they could do to get me reinterested. And I'm assuming that audience has to have plateaued or is going to continue to plateau and stagnate where like, are these same people going to show up every single year? I mean, that happens for FIFA, that happens for Madden. So maybe, but like, even then, does that audience just become increasingly disinterested? Like, what is the future? What does the growth look like for those games? Where are they going to innovate other than just churning out Modern Warfare, Black Ops?
Do they think that I know that they don't, But like, do they think that that eventually a Call of Duty is going to come out that is going to be as big as the first Modern Warfare 2, or alternatively is going to be as big as GTA 6?
I mean, all they need to be at a certain point, right, is as big as at least the last Call of Duty every year, which it mostly has done over time. And I think, and you know, they were also looking for spaces to grow Call of Duty, so they had Call of Duty Mobile, and now they're having the Battle Royale on mobile, things like that.
Talking about it,
yeah, and these things at least make a lot of money, and
they do.
But Call of Duty's tapped out. Like it's the room for growth for that series is not like there. So it's like, okay, you have this reliable revenue generator, and it's so much revenue that at a certain point, okay, that's fine. That does pay for a lot of other stuff. But these are companies that need growth. So it's like the Call of Duty question lingers just as hard as anything else. Yeah. And then I think, you know, to speak to Jan's point about like feeling good about the games they're putting out, you know, I don't know what they could do at this E3 or next year to make me be like forget about all this stuff and be like, well, I'm excited about what Xbox has again. It's just that that doesn't seem like it's in the cards.
Yeah, because the studio's not going to exist next year,
right? Yeah, because I'm like I would need assurances that like, oh well, if Tim Schafer comes out and announces something new, it's like okay, but isn't that just like any of these other studios that could one day just get the plug pulled? Josh Sawyer gets to make another passion project. Okay, you seem not too happy with Pentiment either. I think it seems just by, you know, the fact that it's Obsidian that didn't have the same fate as a Hi-Fi Rush and Tango Gameworks. And then like on the big side, it's like, well, okay, you've announced so mmany games and so many times they haven't hit the way that you promised they would hit. So at this point, announcing stuff just doesn't do anything anymore. Yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about this company at this point, other than very, very frustrated and sort of a little disgusted. By the way that they're acting.
How do y'all feel that this may affect like Microsoft's relations with other companies? Like, how does this affect Microsoft's working relationship with some studio or a whole company like Capcom? You know, like Capcom is like buying into releasing games on Game Pass. Path of Goddess was like really highly featured last year during Summer Game Fest.
Yeah.
How does this affect that? Like Sega even moving forward?
I think, you know, I think the reality is all these companies are just as ruthless underneath, right? So they're not going to be like, yeah, right. They're like, well, yeah, they all go to the same country club and they all have the same conversations about how their resources, and resources is a way of referring to human beings, and they all want to have the same option to be able to lower how much they pay these people and cut the jobs whenever they need to cut the jobs. So I think the partnerships are going to be there just the way they have been, as long as Microsoft keeps signing the checks. Like that stuff will continue. Yeah. I think that's why we're in this situation.
And like that just right, like, you know, Nikki was right. Well, why not? Why buy Activision then?
What's the point? Like, and like, I understand it's expensive to license. Like, I get it, but it's like it would make so much more sense. It's just the system, right? That's just capitalism. Like in a non-capitalistic society, if you existed in a world where $69 billion was not a cheap purchase, right? Then you don't have any of this. And actually the small studios that they acquired at first are allowed to flourish and grow and make mistakes along the way, because that's what happens when you make art, right? Like you fuck up. It's inevitable. But because there has to be a number attached to this art that we are making, because someone somewhere who doesn't know what video games are, their car, their BMW, is powered by whether or not Hi-Fi Rush sells enough fucking copies. It didn't sell enough copies. They can't get a new car. Therefore, they are mad at Microsoft. Therefore, Microsoft has to make a decision. All of these fuckers are mad. We have to shut this down. It's the only thing we can do. It just sucks. Like, it just fucking sucks to live now.
Yep. Yeah. And we'll get to next year, and a lot of stuff will probably start growing again, and the market will bounce back, and these companies will be. And these companies will be like, hey,
like it always does
boom
this.
Times.
Yeah, no, of course, because the pendulum will swing. There's peaks and valleys. It has to.
Watch it fly by
and
as
then
the pendulum swings.
And then the problem is that everyone forgets, right, and everyone is very charitable to, like, you know, forgetting the past a little bit, because when things are good, they're good. And, you know, I don't know. it's just like we have this thing that we are all attached to. It can be very bad, but we're here. I don't know. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Hell yeah. We'll keep following this story. I'll talk about it more in Game This Mornings probably tomorrow. We'll see. All right, a lot more news to get through. Let's just do it. Nintendo confirms it will announce its next console this fiscal year. Nintendo has confirmed that it will announce the next generation console. It did this during basically a fiscal report and then it came out on Twitter. And Shintaro Furukawa, the president of Nintendo, was like, "This is Furukawa. We will talk about."
This is my favorite way to start a tweet.
Yes.
Hey,
we'll talk about the next console.
They gave me the login.
Yeah, exactly. Him and Miyamoto both do it. Like, this is Miyamoto. This is Furukawa. It's great. And he's like, yeah, we're going to talk about it before the end of this fiscal year. So by March 2025, they will announce it. And then he said there will be a Switch Direct. We'll get to that more in a second. And that's not going to have anything to do with Switch 2 in June. So sometime after June, but before March, they will announce the next console. Now, he was asked in a call with investors and analysts, hey, so how would you describe this thing, basically, is what they asked. And he's like, Switch next model is the appropriate way to describe it.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, bud.
Okay, yeah, but it's like, okay, so they're not like saying like it's a whole new thing.
Yeah.
This is them saying it's a Switch 2, right?
It's a
This
Switch
is not
2.
it's not a Switch Pro, right? People should not get concerned about a Switch Pro, right?
Yeah.
But
No, and I'm like, okay, but
no.
Oh,
Switch two.
yeah, I think it's like, yeah, they had to do this, right? Like, I think they were, once the news came out that it was delayed for whatever reason, whether or not like the software lineup was not ready or the hardware was not like whatever, for whatever reason, they were kind of behind the horse a little bit, behind the cart. Which one is it? What do you get behind?
They got the horse. You can't put the cart before the horse.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
behind the 8-ball is, I think.
They did get behind the 8-ball, yes.
right. It's a billiards thing, not a not a cowboy thing.
No
Yeah.
horses
horses
stop playing
involved at all.
billiards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They were behind the 8-ball on it. They needed to get in front of the 8-ball again, being like, hey, very explicitly, we are announcing the next iteration of the Nintendo Switch at some time between now and March 2025, March 31st, 2025. Like, yeah, of course. Thank you so much for saying it out loud.
Yeah, and this thing is probably in early parts of manufacturing. That's the rumors that have been going around. So yeah, this thing's gonna leak. And
yeah, exactly. That's also what it is. It's like we're getting out in front of the fact that this thing is about to fall out of every factory in China. And like you're gonna see pictures of that electromagnetic suction device.
You're gonna
And
see
it's gonna,
pictures
like-
of the
That's
wearable
right.
watch that they've
Yeah,
been
exactly.
Forgot
working
about
on.
my magnet.
All of the
sucking.
different bands for Jan. Yeah.
What if the wearable is not actually a watch? What if it is like a early 2000s to mid 2000s cell phone holster that your uncle would wear, huh?
Yes.
Right. All right.
Yes.
No,
So
those
hip
are
action.
still kicking around. Those
They
are
are?
still kicking around. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can still buy one of those for your phone.
Do you
Does it
remember when they
chirp
called the
like a
T-Mobile
Nexo?
Sidekick a hip top instead of a
Hip top.
laptop? It was a
Yes.
hip top because you would keep it on your hip.
I
Nah.
hope nothing terrible happened to the person who coined that.
The company that made the Sidekick was called Danger.
Danger, and they got acquired by Google, and then
And then what happened, Grub? And then what happened?
No, and then he left to do like, didn't he do the nothing phone? Is that
like the essential phone? But I think
The essential phone.
right?
didn't
Yeah.
some, didn't he,
And
didn't he do
then
some
what
bad
did he,
stuff?
and then what did he do? Yeah,
I don't remember, but I remember it being bad. I thought
He did a lot of sexual harassment.
he
is
did
what
that. Oh, of course he
He did that?
Yeah,
Now that's some danger.
Oh,
I mean, it's one of
buddy.
three
That phone,
things.
though,
It's one
that
of
phone
three
was
things.
fucking
Hey,
sick.
He said the company was dangerous to work at. Come on.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
I mean, Danger is a cool name. I think it's up there with Panic, and that's it.
Can we
Huge.
call
That's
can
it.
can
Top
the
tier.
D in DIB now start or stand for danger?
oh,
Yeah,
there
I
you
think it
go.
always has.
Danger
Some people.
Bacalar.
Yeah, it always has.
All right.
All right, so they'll announce this thing. I mean, we honestly had this conversation on Game Best Mornings yesterday, even though that was based on like an erroneous thing. I saw the thing like right before I went live.
Just
Good
early.
word.
Yeah, there, and it was like, and everything panned out exactly how we discussed, me and him on that show. So, pretty relevant still. They will probably have a video of this thing here in a couple of months. and then they'll have the real like actual reveal either really late this year or early next year, and then this thing probably is out by March. The way that he's talking about it, if he's coming out here saying this now, thing is probably out by March.
You think they're going to be on a higher rooftop this time? Like, what's the?
I mean, that's their only option, right? Yeah,
like two
space,
parties
it's
on
just space now.
yeah,
It's on the ISS.
a moon elevator. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the other thing with the hardware is that with him saying Switch next model, they really are just confirming there's not going to be big surprises.
Okay. You know, how long has the Nintendo Switch been around?
9 years.
7 years, and they announced it 9 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we've had 9 years now of like them starting all these Nintendo Directs with like their snap thing, right? Of the Switch clicking in.
Yes.
What if it's just like because that's the magnetic suction.
It sucks. Yeah.
And then instead of like the transition,
Nintendo sucking sound?
yeah, the Nintendo
Trademark?
sucking sound. So instead of like the video transitioning where it goes like switching down and snapping into place, it's just like coming from the side now where it's like
Yeah.
oh, they could just call it Kirby Tech.
Call it the Slurp. Nintendo Slurp.
Call it Nintendo Slurp.
No, I think you guys are all off. You guys are all way off.
No,
here.
but think about this though. Think about this. The left Joy-Con is Kirby's eyes and the top of his mouth.
Okay.
The right Joy-Con is his feet and the bottom of his mouth. And
then the screen?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why you need an OLED, so it's black enough to be the inside of
it's
Kirby's
black
mouth.
enough, the void of his mouth. Is he wet or dry inside? I asked this a couple of years ago on my Fanbyte Twitter, but do you think that Kirby is wet?
Like, can he like swallow galaxies? I think he's like, it's like a black hole. Is a black hole wet or cold? I don't know. Or wet or dry?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you.
Like cold dry.
Okay.
Dry. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say dry.
Dry.
What if the Switch 2 is just a Bop It Extreme?
I don't think that's possible.
What if instead of buttons, you have to flick it?
I mean, Jane, you're joking, but like there's a non-0% chance that the 1-2 Switch equivalent this thing launches with is something like a Bop It.
What if they have a wheel? Wheels are real hot.
I'll be upset.
Cranks and wheels.
I'll be upset if there's a wheel.
Like, there was like that AI device that came out that like Teenage Engineering also made, like the Rabbit or something, and then that has like a little wheelie dealy.
Yes.
What if?
Do you think there will be any capability to connect a Switch 2? You put the Switch 2 in the dock.
Oh.
Then there's a projector app for an old Switch, what turns it into a Wii U.
No.
Oh, it's like so a dual screen sort of thing.
Yes.
I think they might have some sort of solution for that. I don't know if that's the way it would work though.
Mario Maker 3. And you just need 2 Nintendo Switches.
Okay.
Plot thickens.
I like that. I think they just sell a separate VMU. They license that from Sega.
Yeah.
And they just that's your memory card now. All right, Nintendo will have a Nintendo Direct in June. I slapped the hell out of my mic, but Switch 2 won't be there. The company said, hey, this is going to set up the second half of the year for Switch games for the rest of 2024. Where are you all at on like the hype roller coaster? Is this got you feeling better about Nintendo Switch for the rest of the year? Because as it stands, we get Luigi's Mansion 2 in June, and then there's nothing else announced. Basically, you think there could be some big things here?
Nah. After Paper Mario, I think after Paper Mario, that thing's going to sleep until March. Honestly, I think it's going to be a Snipper Clips 2.
It happens. It has to happen. Like there's always a senioritis gap for a console at the end of its life cycle. It's just what has to happen. Yeah. They go to the retirement home, and we just all sit around waiting for it to die.
Jesus
now,
Christ.
Now you say that, but Nintendo. Okay, so Nintendo shipped 15.7 million Switch consoles last year, and Jan, this is part of the more Nintendo financial highlights. And they're expected to sell about a little bit more than 13 million this year, so just a slight decrease. And analysts are like, how are they expecting to do that unless they have some pretty big games? I think maybe what do you think is more likely? They will have some games that get people excited to still buy a Switch this holiday, or a price cut. Because I lean towards games more so than a price
they're not
cut.
going to cut the price. They're not going to cut the price of the regular Switch until the Switch 2 comes out. So I think they're going to dust Wind Waker off the shelf I think the
Really?
Switch Lite. I think the Switch Lite gets a price cut. Because how much is that thing right now? $250.
It's either 250 or 200. I think it might just be 200.
If they cut that thing to if they cut the Switch Lite to 150, and then they're like,
people just buy that for like a single road trip.
Yeah. Or like, bundle a Pokemon game with it or something like that and keep it 200.
People will leave that. People will just leave that like in the leave a penny, take a penny tray. You know, they'll just be like, you want this?
3
I'm on my way
podcast points,
out.
Jeff. 3 podcast points.
Thank you, cashing those in, baby.
But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
There's another Fire Emblem game, maybe, right?
Yeah, stuff like that will finally happen. That Fire Emblem remake is rumored to actually finally happen. The stuff like, they did not put Zelda, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess HD on the Switch. Then maybe that could still happen. I don't know. I'm like still on the fence about Metroid Prime 4.
$120 right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like $70 each. Zelda was $70. So
yeah, that's so true.
I do think it's fair that there will be like one more software surprise that's sort of just like the last thing to get it over the hump until Switch, the sequel to the Switch.
Yeah, maybe maybe we could see like another Pokemon remaster as well, right? Maybe this is where you finally see Let's Go 2.
Right, something like that could actually still happen. It's they didn't announce it at that Pokemon Direct a few weeks back, but I think there's maybe reason to believe that they could these numbers make sense if there's a new Pokemon game this holiday. I think that alone would do it. So maybe we'll see. Probably not, but maybe.
We're going back to Johto.
Yeah,
Johto. He's out there doing his thing still.
Sorry.
Okay, how many copies has Nintendo sold of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in total?
400 million.
I know exactly.
Mickey from Giant Bomb.
61.97 million.
Yeah, 62 million copies, and that's with another 1.39 million in the last quarter alone.
How many Switches have they sold?
141.32 million.
Is that good?
Oh, that's real good. That's third. That's third only behind the DS at 154 million and PS2 at 160 million, and that's way more than just about everything else. Now, if they do sell that 13 million plus this year, that will put them right next to DS in terms of total sales for the Switch.
The idea that they haven't sold as much as the Nintendo DS is fundamental. Like breaks my brain a little.
Well, that's a pre-iOS world. That's a pre-iPhone world.
That's more a testament to the DS than anything else.
Yeah,
I think that's more
absolutely.
of like
Yes, the DS was a monstrous success. That's like when they had the first real reload of Pokemon fans, right? They had all the Pokemon fans before, and they were like, and we know how to get a whole new generation of kids more than ever before, and it all happened on the DS.
They also released so many different kinds of Nintendo DS because you could was what you could do that.
I had like 3 different DSs. Yes, that's something they've been doing that from the beginning. DS, they really mastered that.
Yeah.
All right, a couple other things from Nintendo. Let's see here. The analysts think they could have big games still, but we'll see. If you look at the chart for Nintendo Switch hardware sales per region, it's about on par with how it did in like fiscal year 20. But like Japan sales are more than double. Like it's still doing really well in Japan. So that's one of the reasons they probably are feeling pretty comfortable about keeping this thing going. Princess Peach Showtime and Donkey Kong, or Mario vs. Donkey Kong, both sold more than 1 million units. Super Mario RPG has now surpassed 3 million units sold. Mario Wonder has sold more than 13.4 million lifetime, and it did 1.5 in the last quarter. So they're still selling a million selling games each quarter are still doing very well for them. A couple of small tidbits. The Kyoto Nintendo Museum is finished, but it's not opening till the fall. Yes, Nikki,
We're going, right, Bacalar? You're sending the whole crew out to Kyoto.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Nikki. Thanks for ruining the surprise.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to make sure. Sorry.
He said
RPG sell more, the remake sell more than the original game?
I think so, yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the way it went down. Yes, because one part of that is the Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo came out pretty late in the Super Nintendo's life cycle, so did not do any favors. Super Mario Brothers the movie is the highest grossing Illumination movie of 2023. It was the most profitable movie of the year according to Nintendo.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then there's a bunch of others.
Baby.
Yeah.
I helped. I saw it 4 times in theaters.
But yeah, overall, Nintendo doing very well. I think they set a record for profits as well. This is a company that's always been very profitable. At the very least, they're making a ton of money, like always. And they seem to have figured out how to like keep that going, even as they get to near the end of the generation. It's not like hurting their profitability, and they're making a lot of money on that thing. They had a few other rumors come out about Nintendo over the last week that don't have anything to do with their financials, including Vicarious Visions was making a 3D Donkey Kong platformer game. The code was Donkey Kong Freedom. It was going to be like Donkey Kong Country in 3D, hence the freedom. He was also going to be there. It mostly took place on January 6th, I think.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. He had a lot of ideas. Where was Donkey Kong?
Yeah, that is a good question.
Donkey Kong would have been able to climb those walls better than some of those
way
people.
easier. You're so right.
For
You're
sure.
so right.
It was going to have Diddy Kong in it. Vicarious Visions seemed to be down for it. Nintendo seemed interested. Activision was like, no, go make more Call of Duty. And they helped on that. Obviously, Vicarious Visions then eventually became part of Blizzard, but this was before all that. This was back when it was like, no, make Call of Duty.
Vicarious Visions basically made Diablo, right? Is that like okay? So
yeah, they basically made Diablo. I think they really helped with the Diablo 2 remake, and everyone was really happy with that, or remaster, whatever it was. And then they're like, "Oh, hey, you should really maybe come help us with Diablo 4." And that team basically went in and made sure Diablo 4 was as good as it was.
Great.
There's also a rumored, unannounced Nintendo game that has the codename Banquet. And this is from Midori, that leaker we've been talking about recently. That's very good at Sega and Atlas rumors. So no one knows what this Banquet is referring to. Do you all have any guesses? Because I think I have a guess.
I'm an idiot. I heard you say Banquet, and then it registered in my head Banquet. And I was like, okay, all right. So Kirby, maybe Kirby's dry and this bank is wet.
Yes,
Banquet? A Kirby bank robbing game? Sure, yeah.
I know what it is.
Yes.
Please.
It's a quadruple A expansion for the Lickitung Sushi game in Pokemon Stadium.
Wow. I think that's
it's going to be a 120-hour long experience where you get to be each individual taste bud on the Lickitung tongue.
Terrifying.
So,
okay. Well, there you go, everybody. There's also a possibility it could be Sega and Mario at the Paris Olympic Games.
Oh, that's boring.
Why would it be that? Why
Why is that a rumor though? Like they always make that game. Like that's
because it hasn't been announced yet. They've never confirmed that one existed.
Honestly, they don't need another one of those.
I think you're right about that. Yeah.
Like what was the last Paris?
Tokyo.
Paris is this year. Yeah.
Tokyo, whatever, like that thing. Come on.
Hey, that one had the cool 8-bit games in there, like track and field.
That game was great.
My kids play that all the time.
There was like a 2D fighter in there. There was like a very loose 2D fighter, and you could be Eggman and kick the shit out of Amy. That was cool.
Jeff Bakalar, do the Olympics still matter?
Great question.
Well, are you asking, are they important or do they matter? These are two very different things.
Can we get both?
They are not important, but they matter.
Yes, I would vehemently agree.
Okay, all right
then. Fair enough.
But
it's only the Winter Olympics as well.
Oh, that's
nobody gives a shit about hot Olympics.
Wrong, incorrect. But I do think that hot Olympics.
It's only about the cold sports. No one cares about
all the hot Olympics.
Okay? Hot Olympics sounds like something that would happen on thechive.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, gross. I do think that
this Nikki?
Olympics has the opportunity to hit a little bit like 2008 does.
Why is that?
Because I think the Americans are in the sports that we are good at are going to be very good in a way that we haven't been since 2008.
Wow, you keep track of this closer than I do. What does that mean?
Our basketball is going to be very good.
I feel like our basketball has been pretty piss poor lately, right?
We've been okay.
Europeans got good at basketball. It was
Europeans got really good at basketball, and I think that tournament-wise is going to be really good. We're really good at swimming again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we figured that out. That's good.
We figured, after Michael Phelps, there's a girl, Michael Phelps, Katie Ledecky.
I know.
She's great. Our gymnasts are great again.
Yeah.
We took a fat L to China. The last
Olympics. But now we got Livia Dunn, so get fucked.
Yeah, our soccer is going to be great.
Soccer's the only thing I really pay attention
Yeah.
to.
So it's going to be a good Olympics, I think.
Okay. You heard it here first, folks.
Skateboarding's in the Olympics.
Skateboarding
It's
is
not
great.
gonna be
It was
we're
fun
gonna
sick
lose
in
that
Tokyo.
shit. We're gonna lose.
Oh,
We
that
are going to
shit.
lose.
Oh, yeah,
But it
for
was
sure.
so sick in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Also,
Yes.
like, it's the first Olympics with people since Rio.
That's
So,
right.
like,
Oh yeah.
I think that's going to be huge too.
That'll
like, no
help.
one watched the 2020 Olympics because they were A in 2021 and B,
That's
nobody
right.
could go. So, like, I think this Olympics is going to be pretty sick. And then we
Okay.
have the ones after that in
Oh, right.
LA.
Where's it? In
Everybody's
LA?
coming out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, cool. All right, LA. You've got your work cut out for you.
Calvin Ball
And it's-
says, "Is Livy Dunn even an Olympic gymnast?" And I don't care.
Who knows?
I don't. Yeah, it's impossible to know. And
You
I
don't
care.
need to. You don't need to know until Bob Costas tells you to care.
Right? Yeah. Once Bob Costas now comes on your TV, and yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna lose the skateboarding so bad.
Oh, well, yeah,
It's
we're gonna
gonna
lose for like the
be
next
gross.
50 years. They are like
Yeah.
so good in South America and in like Japan and a bunch of places.
Yeah.
Yes, it's nuts. But hey, skateboarding. Activision rejected Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 in favor of supplementary Call of Duty work. It's claimed. This was also part of like the Vicarious Vision stuff. They were originally going to add 3 and 4 to the original game. They're like, okay, instead let's just put some of the moves into 1+2, and then we'll make 3 and 4 later. 1 and 2 sold better than any Tony Hawk game before, so they assumed, hey, we'll be able to make that. And they're like, no, go help with Call of Duty, and then go help Diablo. That's your job now. That said, I have heard some rumors that maybe something's happening with Tony Hawk.
I hate
So
it,
I'm
man.
hopeful.
I think it would be
but
silly if
yeah.
they didn't. Right?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
there's a bit of a gap. Skate 4 seems like it's not going to come out until 2029
Yeah,
or 2046, like somewhere in that range. This game sold more than any of them have ever sold.
Nope. And
So, like,
it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
I hope they just are able to make 3+4. That
I
would be
just
fantastic.
really worry that they might follow like the weird Tony Hawk pattern of having something really good and amazing and just like
mhm.
fumbling the bag so hard, and then Activision or Microsoft being like, let's revisit Tony Hawk Ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Connect is back.
Yeah. I think they'll play it safe for this next one, but you're right. If they try to keep making Tony Hawk after that, who knows? All bets
Listen,
are off.
If they want to add skateboards to Call of Duty, that might get me back in.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Kind of make it
What
like
if they-
Fortnite.
Yeah,
when anything
what
can
if they
happen.
turned it into their? That's a great point. I would feel so differently about this if Call of Duty was different in every single way.
Yeah, if it was a bit different game, I would feel
Yeah,
different
that
too.
game wasn't Call of Duty, right?
Yeah. The Witcher 3's official mod editor launches this month. CD Projekt Red will release the official mod editor, the Witcher 3 Red Kit, for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt on May 21st, 2024. Boy, that's a game that's just going to live forever, huh? I'm not like a huge Witcher fan. I tried playing Witcher 3. I played it for a while. It didn't click with me.
Boring.
Yeah, I thought it was a little boring. But people like this game a lot, and boy, mods seems like a good way to get people to like keep coming back to it. There's already, I'm sure, a ton of mods for Witcher, but having the tools will make that a lot easier and should increase the number and availability of them going forward. Let's see. Helldivers 2 PC players have started an operation to reverse negative reviews. Helldivers 2 players have launched Operation Cleanup to flood the Steam page with positive reviews after Sony reversed its controversial plan to require a PSN account for PC players. The community had protested the requirement by flooding the page with negative reviews, but now they are attempting to reverse that protest and restore the game's user scores. The player base still has a long way to go, but more than 72,000 positive reviews have been uploaded since May 6th. That's yesterday. This is good news for the developer Arrowhead Studios after a tough week of criticism. There was more than like 200,000 negative reviews, so yeah, a long way to go.
Stupid. Gamers are
Yeah,
so
I
fucking
hate
stupid.
video
Yeah.
gamers.
Like,
And do you think it made much of a change, or was it like once people started
No.
refunding the game and once people
that
started
did more. Like,
it got
and like,
delisted from Steam into 177
Yeah.
countries?
like
yeah.
that's what does it. And like now it's like such a weird apologia, right? It's like, oh, we probably took it a little overboard. It's like, yeah, you did.
So weird.
Operation Cleanup.
It's like, oh, we made a huge mess in the street, but now we should clean it up.
Yeah, we're gonna clean it up, but not to the. It's still gonna be dirtier than it was before.
Yeah. Does this help?
And things aren't like, this isn't like changing everything going forward. Ghost of Tsushima on PC, while it doesn't require a PSN account for the single player game, because that would be nuts, they would definitely get roasted for that. They are still requiring one for the online Legends mode, the cooperative mode that they added to the game after it came out on PS5 after a few months, or PS4 after a few months. That will require a PSN account still. So not really all that different, although I guess the difference here is like this will be available and you'll have to sign in right when this game launches, whereas with Helldivers 2, that was only up for like a half a day, and then they got rid of that to help with the connection issues.
Sure.
Resident Evil 9 could be released in January, it's claimed, according to insider Dusk Gollum. Resident Evil 9 is set for an early 2025 release and should be revealed soon. The insider claims that the development began in 2018 as one of the potential options for Resident Evil 8, but when Resident Evil Village took that spot, they shifted development back over to this after some time, and Resident Evil 9 reportedly is the most ambitious title in the series, with the biggest budget and longest development time. It's also one of the games that's reportedly going to be more open world. It's going to be using the same tech that made Dragon's Dogma 2 open world. So we'll see how that goes.
Where are they going to put the numbers?
Oh, the number 9?
They go back. It's like they just flip the draft upside down, right? So the draft blowjob can now just be.
Dude, it's actually that is true. That's a whole different sexual position for that giraffe. That I hope
it's new. It's
they
different.
can handle, contortionally speaking. But no, like it's super easy because it's IX. Like IX is the easiest thing.
Resident Evil. Is that what you're saying? Suggesting?
Like Resident Evil, something cool. IX. Like I don't know. Put the word in there. They did it for Village. They'll find it for Resident Evil Skrillex. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Mike says Resident Evil 6.
Like with the I and X capitalized. It's really
exactly.
good, Mike. I like that a lot.
Good, Mike.
Oh boy,
that's pretty good. Yeah.
Capcom's going to have Dragons. They had Dragon's Dogma 2. They're going to have Monster Hunter Wilds. That's already confirmed. Right. That's coming out relatively soon. And then this game coming out early next year lines up with how they've done this stuff in the recent past. So this isn't too surprising, especially if believing that it's been in development for so long. What are your hopes for Resident Evil 9? I guess the big question, do you want it to be first person like 7 and 8, or do you want them to make a departure from that?
I don't care. They could do whatever they want because
with you. Yes,
I will be playing it. So
yeah, exactly. Like talk about just like consistency and reputation. Like it has just been a magnificent one after the other since 7.
Yep.
Which I guess is only 2, but
yeah, but the remakes in between.
Like it's been a as close to a flawless track record as you can really pull off in this industry. So I welcome all of it. And people are like, "Oh, what do you mean open world? That's crazy." Well, like 8 was basically open world in a lot of ways. Like you could decide
hub and spoke. Yeah,
you could decide like which bosses to kind of go to next, right? In some way, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Misremembering that? It doesn't matter. I don't care. Do what you need to do. I will be happy. I need this in my life. It's the only real game that I kind of look forward to anymore, if we're being honest.
Give me a big boat.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Do you want it to take you places only, or do you want to pilot the boat?
Maybe we got like a Snowpiercer situation,
Was there a big cruise ship in Resident Evil Revelations or Revelations 2?
Yes, Revelations was about a boat, right?
Let's go back to the boat.
The beginning was a boat.
Okay. Hey, yeah, just visit the boat. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
There's boat stuff at the end of isn't there boat stuff at the end of
boat stuff?
One of them too recently?
Like
7 or 8?
RE4 had some boat stuff.
Yeah,
you definitely like getting like a boat at the end of Resident Evil 4 and drive it through all the fire and stuff.
7 had boat stuff at the end. Thank you.
Backillard, don't lie. You said the only thing you get excited about is Resident Evil. You also get excited for Batman Arkham Shadow, announced and coming exclusively to the MetaQuest 3.
Yeah, you had me until MetaQuest 3, but I feel like, I have a MetaQuest 3. I play it. I think it's really impressive. I think it's fun. But for me to get excited about a Batman game, it's like a non-VR Batman game.
I'm gonna list all of the interactions in this game. Are you ready?
Yep. Okay.
You're gonna pick something up. You're gonna go like this. You're gonna rotate it over, and you're gonna be like, "Wow!"
You're gonna detect.
Yeah, and then you're gonna do a detect, and then you're gonna press a button on the controller, and it's gonna turn your home into detective mode. And then the Riddler is gonna be in your house. and then you're gonna walk up to like your desk, and then you're gonna like pick something up, and it's gonna be like, oh, the Riddler note is the Riddler, and then he's gonna be like, oh, I'm scary, and then you put it down, and then you're gonna pick something else up, and then you're gonna rotate it a lot, and you're gonna put it back down, and that's the whole game. So
This would be better if it was 1960s Batman, right? Well, I don't.
Yes.
I thought you were
Like,
just
if
going to
they
say
did the-
1960s, and we're like, yes, this would be advanced technology, Grub.
Like holding up a cartoonish bomb over your head, running
Yeah.
around a pier.
Right, and the
Batman,
big
that kind of
red
stuff?
phone that Commissioner Gordon
Yeah.
calls you on and stuff like that. Like, I don't need another Arkham version of this. Yeah.
I know.
yeah, if it
like,
was
how many
closer
of
to
these can
Job
you do?
Simulator
Yeah.
than it was to a real.
Yeah,
If
they
this
can get
was an
silly and do fun
Alfred
stuff.
game, you know?
Okay. I like that.
God, that would be so fucking sick. You have to cook this. Yes.
Cut
And
the
it's just
check.
like you have to cook him food. You have to
Yeah.
clean, you have to vacuum. It's just
Wait,
Job
and you-
Simulator, except you're Alfred.
No, but you would still be doing
Batman.
heroic stuff. Like you would find out, like, oh, like it's like Inspector Gadget, right? Where Penny's actually the one doing all the
Yes.
stuff. Like,
Yeah,
Alfred.
but Alfred's not in the field. I mean, let's
No,
be
not in the
honest,
field,
like-
but he's
No,
the
but
reason
he's on the
Batman doesn't
computer.
get like he helps like Batman remember his special bulletproof underwear or whatever. I don't
He's
know.
typing.
right. Yeah. Okay, I'm into it.
This is being developed by Camouflage. The people did Republic and Iron Man VR. If that does anything for you, I know myself. No way I'm going to play this game. I like the
No
MetaQuest
way?
3. Okay, there's not no way, but it's very unlikely
If
I'm
they
ever going to
send you
decide.
code-
Even if they send me a code, because I definitely had like some VR games. I'm like, oh, I should go play that. I just don't.
Yeah.
You
Valid.
think Batman plays Beat Saber?
Like in his costume, or
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Last story here.
Bat Saber.
That's good.
What? Here's what I wrote down for the headline. What does the Drake and Kendrick beef have to do with the PlayStation Showcase?
Great question.
A rap feud between Kendrick Lamar and Drake has gained much attention online. Rumors suggest that Kendrick's next track is being held back
I'm so
due to
filled
a
with
marketing
anger.
conflict with Sony's rumored May PlayStation Showcase.
oh, this is taking such a lame turn.
The
Yeah.
claim originates from a Twitter post by Real Radic, who alleges that DJ Academics, a known Drake supporter,
Tomato.
deleted an Instagram post suggesting that this was happening. However, the validity of this claim is in question, as Real Radic is a less known figure. The story specified could easily be disproven if untrue, and Kendrick's recent release of 4 tracks in 4 days adds to the doubt.
So is the theory that Kendrick has another song in the hopper, but he also has a deal with Sony?
Right.
But what could he have possibly said in this MP3
Oh.
that is disqualifying him from releasing it? That isn't going to make Sony.
If this is also true, it also like removes so much sort of like
Yeah,
fun
like-
and credibility from like all this shit, right? It just strips it of its like authenticity.
Well, I mean,
But I don't think it's true.
oh, it's not true. No.
Okay,
no.
cool. Okay, cool.
But
Okay, cool.
maybe
Yeah.
in the diss, he gives us the number of teraflops and the release date and like the different
PS5
controller
Pro.
features. Exactly.
I'm a pro like the
PS5 Pro.
PS5. Yeah, that's the bar
Exactly.
right there. Yeah.
It's true. Drake is a
So-
pack-in with the PS5 Pro.
He wishes.
No one wants to buy that.
Yeah. This is the point of like, hey, yeah, this is how absurd things are getting out there. The PlayStation Showcase is happening this month still, apparently. But whether it's next week or the week after, I honestly don't know. Could be the end of the month. But I won't be surprised this does actually happen next week. It could happen at any moment. I don't think Kendrick Lamar will be involved, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see.
Well-
All right, that does it for the news, Jen. I'm handing the show back over to you.
Oh
after
my
an hour and a
God.
half.
What
Holy shit.
Big news.
Astrobot, bot. Okay. What is the big
Wait,
three for
hold on.
Sony?
Well, I'm trying to. That's a great question.
Well,
The
now-
big 3 for Sony: Crash. They don't own him anymore.
No.
Last
of Us.
Ellie,
Karashi, that
Emily-
rap band. Oh, that demo Dobry hasn't come out yet.
Parappa.
That's out.
Oh, it is? Okay. Karashi.
Is that him? Is that them?
Parappa? Yep.
Okay, so he's one of the big 3.
SOCOM.
SOCOM.
Yeah, Gary
He's
Siphonfilter.
part of the. And then Gary Siphonfilter. Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, and there's 4 actually. Derek
This is
Killzone is the
Gabe.
4th one.
Derek
Killzone.
James Killzone.
what's the Siphonfilter guy's name? Gabe?
New
Gabe
Gabe
Siphon.
Siphon.
Okay. Yeah, we got
Gabe
him.
Danger. Gabe Logan? Wow,
Gabe
that's
Logan.
a name.
Oh, that is, yeah.
They don't
that's-
even. Okay, listen. Kendrick is not even signed to Sony.
Right.
He's a Universal Music Group man.
It's called a crossover.
Hey, they could still pay them. I don't think they would.
Put
but-
Kendrick in
Sony's got
PlayStation
so
All-Stars.
many guys.
What if it's Parappa
Okay.
the Rapper, but it's Kendrick as the voice
It's
of Parappa the
Kendrick.
Rapper?
I'm back on
Well,
board.
hey, that's pretty cool.
I'm back in.
And instead of like cut chop, it's just whop 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 whop.
Yes.
All right, Sony, let's talk. Let's
And then
talk.
he can, and then Parappa the Rapper can say, "I'm whooping feet" when he kills Kratos.
I love everything
Yeah.
about
It's
this.
beautiful.
I love everything about this. We're gonna go take a quick bricky break because that was a long news segment, and then we'll talk about video games, I guess.
Yeah.
Right after this. You know, with all this talk about the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef and J. Cole getting out of it, Rick Ross stepping in it, stepping out of it, Metro Boomin just inciting violence. Jeff Grubb, I think you would have a very, very good Seawalk.
I would.
Yeah. And then, like, I could just imagine, like, you know, we run up to the live show on June 9th at the Bellevue Theater. Tickets available now. Get them while you can, folks. And then, like, maybe it's Emma, maybe it's Nikki, maybe it's Dan introing the show. And then, like, we say, like, and now your host, Jeff Grubb. And then, like, we play the Kendrick song or for whatever reason, one of them. And then, like, Grubb just comes up, like, shoulders up. And then, like, he pulls out a bandana out of his back pocket. Changed him. And then he swipes the shoes.
LHF.
And then, like, he gigs and, like, he does. Nikki, what if Grubb hit the sneeze? And then he landed in his chair.
Oh, that would be so sick. How much budget do we have to get a choreographer? What's that budget like there?
Oh, we have plenty of money there. Yeah.
We'll just pull up a TikTok. Between
I'm
you
watching
and
a YouTube video right now. How to crip walk
it.
for beginners. A nice British lady is telling me how to do it.
Is it Lucy?
Basically.
Oh God, I bet you Lucy James can see walk. I bet you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. Oh man, God, yeah. We should just come up with a choreograph number for the big show. Actually,
I like it.
All right,
The big show's coming.
The big show's coming.
Show.
Big Show's still around?
Kinda. His knee is really messed up looking.
Yeah,
Just one?
One
just
of them.
one of them.
It's like it's not. What is it?
It's the
What's the word?
wrong way.
Pronated. Almost like
Yes.
pronated, where it's like
Prolapsed.
curved in. Prolapse. No.
Oh, don't.
He fucking got you. He fucking got you.
He hit me with a prolapse.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool. Very cool. Everything's very cool.
Well,
Everything's awesome.
Manor Lords is a game that has been blowing up on the internet. Jeff Grubb, you played it last week. And then because of the pleasant time you had, Nikki was also hanging out, so was Lexi. I tried to get into it, Grubb. I really tried. I fired it up.
What's your history with city builders?
Non-existent, pretty much.
Okay.
Like, you know, I'll dip into a Civ, but Civ isn't quite the same as like how Manor Lords is. But Grubb, you seemed like you were having a great time.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Do you have any bastard children, Jan Ochoa?
Not that I know of, and that's why
That
secret
explains it.
families
You're
are
not
secrets.
a dad. I mean, what else? There's
That's
no
a
other
responsible answer.
Yeah. It's a dad game. It is, and it's hitting that where I'm like, okay, I'm in charge of my little town and management, and I got, I'm gonna need some more oxen. Let's get to work on that. Oh, to get that, I need to do this and this and that bar's filling up, and now I get to sit here and wait, and enjoy the fruits of my labor. And while I'm doing that, I'll think of 3 other things I want to do. And the good thing about the game is it's very it does a really good job of making every one of these actions have a strong visual representation on the screen. So when that ox is carrying that log across town, someone is standing right with that ox, and they're walking it, and it has to physically walk over there. And then once the log is in place, a builder will come over and use it to actually build the building. And all those things being so visually represented makes it easier for the abstraction to sort of meet you as a player and give you that strong sense of dopamine. It's like, oh, I'm accomplishing something. The decisions I've made to place this building next to that set of supplies is paying off because the building is getting built even faster than it would have otherwise. And all those like small little decisions build up to make everything feel that much more satisfying. I haven't had much more time to play it. I really want to. I did finish Mini Shoot Adventures, so it's like I have a little bit more time now. That's one of the things I want to get back to. But yeah, I see why it is taking off with so many people. It's a genre that has, a few entries here and there, and I think people just want slight changes, and then they want a lot of attention to detail, and that's what this game has. Lots of little details, and it feels like the developers fully understood what the assignment was with those things.
You're saying the lording around in there is pretty good.
Yeah, you could press a
can
button on the
walk
keyboard
around.
and you can walk around as the Lord and just like stand by people while they're doing their work. And you have a cape.
Yeah.
like King of the
It really
Castle
like how he
bullshit.
stands. It's crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
Grub, in your experience with city builders, is this any more approachable than others are?
I mean, I think they have a pretty decent onboarding ramp where, there's definitely things where it's like, okay, what does this do? But that's how these games go. You need to sort of just experiment. And at the very least, it didn't feel too punishing when I'm like, oh, I didn't know how to fully take advantage of this thing. Mostly because it's like, okay, the big things going into the winter are, do you have enough food and do you have enough fuel? And it's like, okay, that seems like that could have been a problem if we got to winter and that wasn't set up. But I was able to like process that pretty quickly with the help of chat. But it's like, once I'm like, okay, I need logs. Oh, I thought I had logs. Isn't that fuel? It's like, no, you need firewood. It's like, okay, that's right there in the bar. The guy that makes firewood, setting that up right next to the stockpile of wood and go from there. And it's all that stuff is like, it makes sense. It's like common sense. And then the game like does a pretty decent job of making sure that it steers you in the direction of making those right choices. So I feel pretty good about that. It's not like Baby's first city builder. Honestly, if you want one of those, and Baby's is like a pejorative. I don't mean it that way, but that Steam World build game is it does a lot to like sort of funnel you into the right decisions, and then it has the whole other layer of. And then there's sort of a defense game happening on the bottom layer underground and things like that to keep you busy. So I was really happy to play that. But this one is like fulfilling actually the fantasy of running a town better. And so this one feels like it's going to have a higher ceiling for me personally.
And there's a stink meter.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, it's a stinky time. And I knew that because Mike Minotti was there telling me that's why he doesn't like the look of the game, because it looks like people smell.
He's right.
He's right.
It's the
He's
reality.
definitely right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what I guess a late game level or map would look like, Grub, because when you zoomed out of your little instance there, it was pretty massive.
Yeah, and like I was playing in the sort of no battling mode, but apparently like there's a second mode that's for people who have played through that already. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, it's like you can be building your town in this region, and then other towns in other regions might come and do something. I don't know if they attack. I'm not exactly sure how it works. And I know you could take over those towns. I don't know if it's just by force. Seems like you can also do like the cultural victory thing where it's like, hey, we just got a better religion than you. Now everyone wants to be part of us or something like that. So yeah, I'm interested to see how that all plays out.
Our God is cool.
Yeah, we got those cool gods.
Our God is a cool God.
Well, Grub, while you have been building a civilization and climbing up the ranks in terms of building a livable, beautiful, slightly smelly town, I've been climbing a mountain in Surmount.
I played a little bit of this too.
Neat. Do y'all remember Donkey Kong King of Swing?
I think about it every day.
Fantastic. I'm finally, that's why you and I get along so well. Where in King of Swing, you are Donkey Kong and you are pretty much just controlling with the shoulder buttons to swing around.
Yes.
That is Surmount pretty much, but instead there is an accessibility option for you to auto swing depending on which arm you grab onto something with, but with your arms are controlled by the shoulder buttons, and
your hands are like controlled by the shoulder buttons, right? In this one, it's a little bit different. Yeah, keep going.
And then you're swinging around and using that momentum to propel yourself and to like catch on with your hands again. Climbing games really hot, really hot.
Yeah,
I like climbing in games in general. I like the QWOP came out and then they had GURP, which is like it's like QWOP but climbing, and I really love that. And I like some of the climbing VR games. I was really looking forward to this. I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel exactly like King of Swing. So I'm like, it's going to take a second for me to get into it, I think. But overall, I think they did a pretty good job. I like that, it is, okay, you have your grip here, and then you want to get over to this next part of the wall where you can grip it again, but there's a gap, and you need to swing in a circle to get enough momentum to have the physics carry you over, and then you grab the wall once you're there. That move in general is something I like, and I think they do a pretty good job with executing it.
Yeah,
I like it because it's realistic.
Right, that's how you climb.
Right,
you spin around. Yeah,
I've been to a bouldering gym before. People are constantly doing that.
That's what I'm doing every fucking time.
Yeah.
My shoulders don't work.
You have to balance your stamina, and there is occasional points where you can kind of like hook on, similar to Jusant, where you can kind of let go and just like dangle for a bit to just help recover some stamina. There's the neat part is that there are some regular boundary walls that you can just climb up to, and you can kind of cartwheel your way up. This game is more involved than I thought it'd be, because I was assuming this would just be kind of like a fun, neat platformer, like what's the other climbing game where you can fart on your friends?
Mount your friends.
The farting climbing.
Oh,
Heave ho.
Heave ho.
Yeah,
Heave Ho's
yes,
about farting,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
I thought it'd be more simplified like that, but it turns out there's a whole ass story in Surmount that I was not expecting. That you kind of activate a curse or like a god, climbing god or whatever. I haven't gone super deep in yet. I've just done a couple of missions. It seems like there's a bunch there, and they're playing around with the different materials you can climb up. They do the thing like in King of Swing where there's certain pegs that you can climb up, certain types of walls where you recover stamina if you just hold on to them. So I'm interested to see if this game is supposedly like 8+ hours, how you're going to stretch out that climbing mechanic and fill that out with stuff. They have things in the early levels where there are these air rings that you like, if you swing yourself into, it'll provide you a little bit of momentum where you kind of like zip through them all. And you find a little path.
Like Superman.
Like Sonic.
Exactly. Like Superman and Sonic. The two of the big three.
The only two games.
And then there's also like little quests you're doing. You're meeting a bunch of like weird dudes as you're climbing through these levels.
That's just mountain climbing. That's what happens when you go mountain climbing.
I've seen Free Solo. Yeah. It's a bunch of little weirdos everywhere. It's neat. I think the thing with this game though, it doesn't feel quite the best playing it on Steam Deck. And I don't know if that's just because of the analog sticks. I was having a better time when I was using a DualSense on my PC. But I also suffer from that thing similar to when we all play Double Dutch, where the hesitation to jump in factors into the hesitation to let go and actually get the right momentum in the swing.
Never let go.
So I think that's where I suffer from, and you should not play this game under the influence of anything, because you start to tense up and you just never let go and you just keep swinging.
You spin forever.
You just spin forever.
Do you think it would be better if the name, instead of being Surmount, as in like you're surmounting an obstacle, if it was Surmount, S-I-R Mount,
capital,
and that was the character's name?
That'd be better.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you imagine like you're just clunking around with a suit of armor this whole time? The neat thing with Surmount though is that the physics in it are factor in super duper hard. So if you have a very weird anchor point of where you're climbing, latching on and swinging, and your legs might hit like a nearby wall, they will hit the nearby wall and factor in where it's like, oh crap, like, oh, this is going to mess up my momentum. And the messed up part though is that it also factors in your anchor point rope. So if your last anchor point was super far away and that rope is just stretched out, as you are swinging, you are pulling out more of that rope. So that rope is just slapping the wall as you're going through.
Nothing like a good rope slap, you know?
Good, it's neat. I think I'll stick with it and see how far I can climb up this hill. I forgot that there were bosses in Donkey Kong King of Swing, so I'm wondering if maybe Surmount is gonna throw in similar things. I saw the dev saying that obviously King of Swing was a massive influence, so I wonder what else they might have pulled. You can eat fruit in this game as well.
Is this game out or is it in early access?
I want to say it is out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's out. And I am going to turn on that accessibility option you said, where it's like, so if I grab with R and I hold that down, he'll keep spinning in the right direction, the clockwise direction.
Point which way you want to go with the analog stick.
Okay, cool.
So instead of like constantly spinning it, which does get tiring after a while, especially if you have dumb thumbs like me, just holding that. But it didn't feel quite well playing it on the Steam Deck. I didn't try that out with like the DualSense, so maybe it'll be a little different.
Okay, I'm gonna mess around with it a little bit, because I was definitely like, I like in King of Swing where it's like you're holding the thing and you're just spinning the whole time and you just got to time it, and that's it by letting go. and then you grab again to grab. It's pretty similar, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. So I think I'm gonna try to fudge with it a little bit more.
There's also a multiplayer mode that maybe we should check out on Unprofessional
I'd be down
Fridays.
for that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Another game, speaking about Unprofessional Fridays, that we all checked out was Abiotic Factor.
Abiotic? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
This is Grub. How would you describe
Half-Life.
this?
It's a crafting survival Half-Life.
Yeah.
You are in a scientific facility that has had something bad happen. There are monsters, and you need to go through a bunch of processes to continue building stuff so that you have the ability to survive. It's multiplayer, and it has the trend right now of proximity voice chat. Mm-hmm. So, your voice is going to echo and you can hear people around the corner and things like that. And I thought it was pretty interesting, but I think it's one of those ones where we needed to be playing a lot longer to get to the meat of it. It's not like some of the Lethal Company or Content Warning, where it's immediately you understand what you're going on these runs, and every run has its own value. It's like this, you are, building up to the point until you have one of the later weapons and stuff like that. And we all have roles. I think you were
really factor in,
and it didn't really factor in.
That was the thing. It felt, and I think for us, right? We are playing this game, yes, but also we are playing this game for an audience, right? So it changes the way that we interact with the game and interact with the systems, by which I mean I didn't look to see what any of the fucking abilities that I had or did. So I'm sure if we were playing it differently and a little more intentionally, it would have felt better, but it did feel very slow to get going. And every time it felt like we were moving, we would hit a wall that would be oh, actually now we need to craft this thing, and
to
it would
do
be
one thing,
okay,
you have to do two other things, and that happens with every single thing. I think there still seemed to be a decent amount of emergent fun with us interacting with each other or the world, and my character pooping himself because I took the negative character trait of I have a small bladder, and that was a big problem. It was fun and funny. It just isn't the immediate crowd pleaser of some of these other games that it looks similar to.
Right.
It's paced so differently.
I think if we did spend more time with it, and maybe if we didn't have as big of a group, maybe we had 4 people versus 6, we could kind of just define the roles a little bit better. Speaking about the proximity voice chat, something that this game does I absolutely love is that it has mouth flap. And not enough games have
I saw some of that
mouth flap in it.
Yes, that was great.
Watching Mike's character mouth flap around, and he looks like a 1-for-1, like my high school theater teacher, and it just freaked me out.
That's the cool dude, right? That theater teacher.
Yeah,
of course.
He also, I'm gonna say game of the year because it lets you sit in a wheelie chair and it properly mimics
that
the
was
physics
amazing.
of a wheelie chair.
I heard you and Mike going wee, and I look around and I just see you guys rolling away. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a good game.
Yeah. I think it needs maybe a little bit more of overt hand holding, though.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So what we did have is there's an on-screen icon as a waypoint. And were you all seeing that, or was that just me?
I would only see the waypoint for the workbench.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So well, so you know what? I'll take some of the blame. I thought you all could see that. So I just assumed, we all know we're kind of the general area where we're supposed to be going, and everyone else is just goofing off. Okay, so I should have been communicating that more, because the game, it was my world, and I could have said, hey, we need to be going over here. And I did a couple times, but again, I assumed everyone saw that. So I think that is the hand-holding idea of okay, here's the general idea. You're going to have to figure out how to get there yourself, because it is a connected, stitched-together world where you're going to be making shortcuts and solving those problems as well.
Yeah, it was also so long ago that we played this. I don't remember.
Sure. Okay, so you could have seen it, but yeah. Either way,
I definitely only remember that it was Friday. It was it was 7 p.m. I think.
No, it wasn't 7 p.m.
At the very least, I think that they probably will speed up some of those things a little bit more.
Yeah. This game is in early access.
Yeah.
Yes, it's early access, and I think they'll figure it out. I think they have a strong foundation, though. I like what they're going for.
Maybe give everyone a weapon, please.
Yeah, but that would reduce my power as the security guard, because I started with a billy club, and really, I think I should have the weapon.
Okay.
You died first.
Well, no, because Mike Minotti murdered me. He pushed me off and killed me.
Right, we have video proof of that.
That's what and that's how I remember it.
Grub, do you still have that voice drop of Mike talking about a treasure trove of duct tape?
I probably do somewhere here. Let me see. Oh nope, it's off the Gox there. I can see that all the buttons are dim.
Damn.
I lost another one.
Damn.
Well, Mr. Grubb, since you may not have been properly guiding us, it seems like not only were you the lord of this manor, but you also may have been the master of our doom, and you've been checking out Masters of Doom.
Yeah, I read that book because of Daikatana, which I'm playing for Blight Club. I got curious about Mr. Romero and his exploits, and I've heard a bunch of times how good that book is, and it is fantastic. It is really, really good. It was like the entire story was riveting. They're all, you know what? Turns out all kind of punks and assholes in their 20s when they were making games. And it's like, I wonder which one of these guys is going to be kind of the bad guy in this situation. And they all just took turns being the bad guy to one another.
Nice.
is how it went down. I think it's a fascinating time, right? 90s and early 3D computer graphics. And honestly, early graphics is like, these are the people that got scrolling and working on PC with Commander Keen. And then they figured out 3D with Doom. And then they figured out full 3D acceleration with Quake. And reading like, oh yeah, John Carmack was just making the engine. And John Romero was the one guy that could really make those engines sing. It's like, oh yeah, these guys really were that talented. And it was pretty cool to read that story and see how it all built up and then fell apart and sort of ended with, hey, and Daikatana's coming and people don't really like that. So yeah, I recommend that book. And that did get me like wanting to go back and check out a bunch of other id games. So I have played a little bit of Commander Keen, and I've been playing some Doom and Castle Wolfenstein and stuff like that. So just in an id mood. And who could blame me after playing some Daikatana, of course.
Hey,
right, yeah.
Listen, love good video games here.
That's
at
right.
this website.
You got
that's
the
right.
taste. I can't get the visual of you screaming and Discord just cutting the audio out of my brain.
It's so fucking funny.
Just like the stupid wig.
And I watched from that first episode of Grub Katana. It's Grub Katana, not
It's Daikagrubba. Yeah.
That's awful. We can't. That when Mike tricks you into walking into that fucking laser fence, his reaction could power a sun.
Oh,
It's
it is.
so good. It's so pure. Delicious.
You could feel like everything he has said in the last like 10 to 15 minutes has been leading up to this point.
Yes.
As soon as I walked in this room and he started shouting, Sean, do you remember this? Sean, do you remember this? I should have known something was up. And then he gets so like poker face after that the entire time. So I don't know, maybe just start going through the door. I don't know. Maybe it'll be safe now. I'm like, okay.
For folks that don't know, Mike has a very long headphone cable. And I, in my head, just saw him actually rolling around the floor and laughing.
Yeah.
He became a rafflecopter.
Yep. That was a special moment in what was a pretty good stream. People should go check that out if they haven't.
Yes, a new episode hitting the streets tomorrow.
Week. I gotta set up the game scent.
Oh,
What?
No.
What?
Oh
No, don't tilt it like
why'd
that.
you
It'll
get
come
one
out.
too? What does
You
that
have
mean?
gimmicks.
I didn't get no.
Oh, it's
Dan
wet.
Riker
What?
sent me
Why
this.
is it
He sent me
wet?
his dirty used game scent. That's the game juice.
Look at
What
the
do you mean? Why?
holes.
Why is it wet? That's the game juice, Nikki.
Can you lick it for me?
Ew,
It's
all
so
of it's
pungent.
Do not lick that. Do
This
not.
was sitting on my kitchen counter, and I'm like, shit, I don't want to deal with this. So I came down and just did my job, and I come up later, and my wife was like, what
this out
is
of the
this
fucking house?
What is this fucking abomination? Both me and your daughter touched it, and now our hands reek. I'm like, yeah, that's the game scent. Sorry
its
about that.
orifices are like leaky. I don't.
Yeah, it's got leaky gaming holes.
Disgusting.
Put it away.
Throw that shit in the trash.
So I got to smell Daikatana.
No.
What do you think it smells like?
Mosquitoes.
Tire fire.
Oh.
Oh, I should not have actually leaned my
Why
nose
did you
in.
do that?
Oh, I'm like, I am kind of upset and nauseous now. Oh, shit.
If you
For the-
puke on this podcast, that'd be all right.
For the audio
That's good
listeners,
money.
For the audio listeners
Why'd I
out
do
there
that?
that have never seen a game scent, imagine. Oh boy, Grub is just recoiling.
It's on my hands. I was gonna wipe my face.
Ew. Ew.
Ew. Okay. Never
Ew.
mind. Game of the week.
Yeah.
Hades
dude.
2.
Do that.
And it just came out. I mean, how much could anyone have really played of that game?
I played 35 hours
the
of the video game Hades 2.
Wait, what? What?
Nikki,
We've
when I
had,
looked
we've
at
had
my
code for
Steam-
about a week.
When I looked at my
Yeah.
Steam friends list, I was like, oh, Tam played this that much. So-and-so played that much. So-and-so played that much. And then I see Nicholas Grayson, and I'm like, 33 hours?
So here's what happened. So I think it's actually probably closer to like 15 hours. But
What?
I left my PC on overnight once, and I wasn't playing the game, but the game was running, so it counted the
okay.
time. So I put in like 15 hours.
I did see Chris Person playing a lot, like over the last week. When like, yeah, we got the codes, and I'm like, man, Chris is playing a lot. 45.3 hours for
Yeah.
Papa Pichu.
Oh, boy.
That's crazy. Folks, they really went and just made more Hades. And like fundamentally, the thing that's so nuts to me that I was like kind of afraid of, I think, is that like for a game, I wouldn't call Hades perfect. It's close though. Like
close.
legitimately, I
Yeah.
do think it is close. Insofar as like with the intentions that it has for what it wants the player to do and the story that it wants to tell and the way that it wants to tell it through both narrative and mechanics. I think it hits every fucking, like that first game, I think hits every single mark, right?
Yep.
The fear that I had when they said we're making a video game called Hades 2, I was like, okay, but like you did it so good the first time. Like you could just walk away from it and never touch it. And then Greg and his friends were like, no, sweet summer child.
Honey.
Well, honey, what I've got for you is simply more Hades.
And
And
you ever
then
consider that?
Yeah, you considered more Hades. And you know what, Greg? You were right.
Yep.
You were right. If you just make more Hades, it's going to be good. Melinoway is Zag's sister. She's a witch. So it changes up fundamentally your ability set. And changes your cadence, which I think is really important in these fights. I don't fucking know, dudes. Like, it's so good. Like, it feels just as crunchy as the first one. There's so much more. There's additional.
Yeah.
And, like, I think that, like, my fear coming into it was like, oh, it's early access, right? Like,
It's going to stop after the first boss,
it's going
right?
to stop
Yeah.
after the first boss. No. If they
No.
put this game out today,
Yeah.
I think it would go crazy.
Did they literally say it at this moment has more content than Hades 1?
Yes.
Yes.
And they're not, as far as like the stuff that they've said, it's not going to come out this year probably.
Right.
Like if it comes out this year, it's
So-
coming out in December.
So, okay. That seems all good and fine, but also like can someone give me like a really compelling reasoning for like early access in this specific example?
Because
Like,
they're going to make it better.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're going to make it
Right,
better.
but like-
Balancing.
but your game seems to be beyond early access right away.
Well, I mean, but no, I think they're like, this is the early access version of Hades 2, and this is where we're starting, and we're going to make it better. I mean,
But-
look.
I guess it's just a label thing, really, right?
Yeah,
Like, is that what
exactly.
we're talking-
And-
yeah.
It's just a label. Yeah. Like I would say for most people, if you are curious about Hades 2, you could play it now, almost certainly play through all the content that is there and feel like you got a full game. And then when
Right.
more comes out, it's like, oh, episode 2 is here.
Yes.
Or the DLC is here, basically. Look at it. Look at it however you need to look at it. But I think you're going to be able to have a really good time with this game as it stands right now, without any of the concerns that people typically have about early access, which I personally think are overblown to begin with. But I get it's a mental thing for a lot of people. I 100% understand where you're coming from. I think in
Gotcha.
this specific example, those things are just not really a concern.
Yeah, if you play the video game Hades 2 early access right now, you will have a complete experience. And like,
Yeah.
I just think that is how it goes. There will just be more of it later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, as of right now, there's when you go to like the weapon selection little screen area, there's like
Yeah.
2, 3 weapons that
There's a
aren't filled
couple
out.
of weapons that aren't there. Like some of the characters don't have art or models yet.
Okay.
And you're like, oh yeah, like you're still working on this. But also fundamentally, it feels like there's 3 little video games in this video game. And like every time how spoilery do we want to get? Because like that's one of the things that I do struggle with, like in conversation about it, is that like I don't want to talk too far because I've played so much of it.
People aren't going to want to hear the story spoilers, but if there's like gameplay spoilers, I think those are, to me, I care more about those than anything. But I think you can probably get away with some of that stuff. I don't know.
Here's how I'll frame it. The game does a really good bait and switch on you, where it's like, it's simply more Hades. I go down to get out, and then you get to the doorway where you go down, and then to your left or behind you there's up. And then you're like, now what's this? Now what could this possibly be? And then you like get through the thing and they're like, I think you should go up. And then you go up, and then there's more fucking video game up there. You just go up.
Okay, that's so exciting.
You go down, and then they're like, oh, actually, like, you remember Hades? You remember how when Zag would go up to the planet and the planet Earth?
It's like Little Nicky, right? When Little Nicky goes to
it's exactly like that. You go up.
Okay.
And then there's a little curated, like, run-based thing where you play one stage and the game tells you what items and boons you get. And it seems to be randomized. And this part isn't as fleshed out. This is a part that's like, there are only 3 of these things. But like, when you go up, it's open. It's like branching, like Dead Cells. And you can pick paths. And some of the paths, if you go down them, it cuts off other paths. It's like, I was so like, like, I didn't even think about up as an option.
Okay.
Well, it's so fucking good, y'all.
But the music this is the game I'm playing now. This is it. I'm all in. Like I don't care about any of the other stuff. I just want to be playing more Hades 2.
100%. And like they have really, I have not gone as far as Nikki, but the parts where I have gone to, they've like, I don't want to say perfected because that's very generous, but like they have really nailed the loop aspect. Yeah. Where even in Hades 1, when I had a bad run, I still felt like I made some type of tangible progress because, you know, you could further advance your little relationships, you're getting whatever, etc. But here, because of the different, I guess, different available currencies or different mats that you were grinding for, your sub tool that you're bringing out to each run, right? It winds up mattering because of like, okay, like I have enough silver, I guess I'll just switch it to this other tool instead.
Yeah. And it has the other thing about like that mechanical stuff is that you can, it's so interesting because you know how in Hades 1 when you would really feel like you were going on a good run and it felt like the game was like seeding you boons that were conducive to the build that you were making. Now each boon has an element.
Yes.
So there's earth, water, fire, air, and then the Fire Nation attack, et cetera, et cetera. And each of those boons, they give you a credit basically. So if you get like, you can have like 2 air points, depending on which god is giving you the boon, 2 air points and an earth and whatever. Then they're called infusions, boons. And if you have X number, so if you say you have 4 or above earth, it gives you like an epic modifier on all of the boons. So it's like, it incentivizes you to, as you create your build, as you're going through, pay attention to like so many different factors. There are perks now. You have a perk bar. There's so many fucking meters in this game.
Yeah.
You have a thing called grasp, and you have 10 points. And you go up to this thing, and there's a thing of tarot cards, and it starts as 6 tarot cards. And as you and I was like, oh, cool. Like, what a cute little, like, oh, it's in early access. There's like 6 little cards. You unlock one card and it unlocks another card like diagonal both ways. And then you unlock more cards and that screen is so fucking big for me now. There are so many cards.
Keeps growing? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question about that.
So many modifiers.
I don't understand the currency for that.
So that
I don't.
It's so go ahead, Jen.
It starts with ash or like the white wispy stuff.
Yeah.
Goop.
Okay.
And then you get that depending on which route you choose.
Yeah, right. Totally.
In Erebus, right? There's other means of acquiring that as you go along, and then you spend that ash to get those specific cards. And Nikki, it's primarily like that's the what you use ash for, right? Is just unlocking the cards.
And then there are some recipes. You know how like in Hades 1 you would go to the store and be like, oh, I want to buy this. Like because she's a witch, there's a big cauldron in the middle of the
I've done that base. A bunch.
Yeah, so like sometimes the ash will be used as an ingredient there, but mostly it is for the tarot cards. And then in those tarot cards is where you get like a death defiance, or it'll be like your cast is like 20% bigger, but each card has a point value attached to it. The thing I can't figure out, and
maybe. Oh wait, so you can only have so many cards unlocked at a time.
You can only use
activated
so many cards.
Yeah, that's the thing that was hanging up. I'm like, I think I have enough to unlock this thing.
No,
but
for
it's giving me the
you can only have 10. This is something that I'm confused about.
Now I get it.
I don't know if you can unlock
pick 10
more than
from Call of
10.
Duty Black Ops.
It is literally the pick 10
shit.
system from Call of Duty. Yes.
Okay. Finally, someone spoke my language.
And then there are cards that are like, you can't use this card unless you have a card that is worth 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then that procs the 6th. Christian is saying in chat that you can upgrade the power limit. I don't know how to do that. Can you please message me on Twitter to tell me how to do that? Please. This game is great. Like, and it feels feature complete. And I think that's the thing where I really want folks to not take this experience away from themselves by being like, I don't want to play an early access game.
Right.
Because it's bullshit. It doesn't matter. Play the game again later. But also it does not feel like it is not complete. You will have such a robust and complete experience playing the video game Hades 2. You can
it'll be cheaper now than when because they're probably going to raise the price
when it comes out. It's going to be
later,
they could charge $300 for this video game.
But there's also so much where it is right now, right? Like it is not only like really like with that tarot card system. There's like a different like objective system like hanging in the background as well that you're also taking care of, and it feels like you're just constantly making progress as you were playing the game.
That's huge, because in Hades 1 there definitely were runs where you came back and felt like you would get a little bit of a voice, like a little bit of a conversation where you would feel like, oh, like that was the run. It was kind of short. They're not gonna make fun of me, but they're gonna be like, I died in 2 seconds, huh? Okay, good. But now, like, you still have those conversations. Those conversations still do exist, but you did make progress on at least something. You can plant stuff, like you can collect seeds, and each engagement or each encounter is time for those seeds to grow. There are recipes that take X number of encounters to proc. Like every single action, even if you have a bad run, it did something for you.
That's the thing for me about Hades and now Hades 2 is seeing like them understanding the potential of the loop and using every ounce of the loop. I mean, Jen, you talk about like the sub weapons and having your sub tool, getting the pick and realizing, oh, now that I'm out there, I have another thing to do. And it's like, okay, they're just going to keep layering more and more on top, and I'll be able to do more and more every time I come back. And it's like, oh, that's such a clever idea of making sure that like every run feels like it accomplished something, and doing that in a variety of different ways instead of just like, well, you fought things, so we're just going to give you a different currency. It's like, no, you're going to have a different verb attached to that, and then that unlocks more verbs back in the home base. It's I think they were the masters of that stuff with Hades. I think another like good example is SteamWorld Dig 2. I think it has a really good loop. It does a lot of similar stuff. This feels like it is taking that idea to the next level, and it's one of the reasons I just already I am in love with this game.
Yeah, this is it's so appropriate that you are fighting. It's known who you're fighting now, right?
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah, Kronos.
You're fighting Kronos. Right?
They say death to Kronos is one of the first.
Sure.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. Sorry if that's a spoiler to you, but
also, hey, that's what Percy Jackson is about. Sorry for spoiling a YA novel series from like 10 years ago. But
listen,
like,
Adam Copeland is in that program, okay, and he's doing his best work in there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
He's all right.
He's all right in it. But like, it's so appropriate that like time, Kronos is the big bad, and this is killing so much time.
Yeah,
this is wasting so much.
Just eats it
time.
up. I think it's a metaphor for
That's
itself.
too deep
yeah.
for me. I'm sorry. That's can't handle.
If after all that, like, I'm still not going to play it, I just need you to admit it's because you love having an excuse to not play games. Like, that's what Patrick was like.
It's
agree.
Like,
I just like having an excuse to not do something until it's time to do the thing. And I'm like, okay, I can respect that.
That's
like,
fair.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I love to hear that. That's totally fine.
Hades 2, early access.
Great game.
Don't just do it. On the version number, it says 0.920.
Yeah.
Something.
So crazy.
So
like
they're
Pi,
kind of almost there.
Yeah, but then at the same time, they're like, and it's not going to launch until next year. I'm like, what? How much shit are you going to put in?
Early access through the end of the year at least. Like, that's so. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean?
It's scary.
It's like, yeah.
I don't know who else has as good of a relationship with the idea of early access.
The Dead Cells.
Oh, then Supergiant for sure.
Supergiant for sure. But like, they seem to have like really maximized their relationship with the idea of early access.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Them and like, I mean, I think Minecraft was like the one, like basically one of the inventors of it.
Yeah.
And then since then, I don't think anyone's done it better than Supergiant.
The other aspect I don't think we've really touched on is like how much they've adjusted the combat in terms of just adding a charge move.
Yeah.
And like a
mana
meter.
And you have a second meter, right?
Yeah.
So you have a magic meter. She's a witch. I really need to nail this because it's so important to this character. She does magic.
Yeah.
So you have all of your normal ABXY abilities all have a modifier that you charge that takes this meter. Each of the weapons has a second, like they're all different per weapon, except the cast, which like puts a circle down,
mm-hmm.
and like little spirits come up, like shades come up, and they hold the guys in place. Except there are some boons that modify the way that the cast is placed, which gets kind of crazy. And like they made the sprint useful. That's one of the things that like I really appreciate about like very tiny change. The sprint in Hades 1 didn't really feel like a useful thing, and I don't really remember if there were any boons that modified the way that the sprint behaved.
Like, there were, but they were pretty few and far between. I would have a couple runs where sprinting was like, oh, I'm just going to sprint through all these enemies, but that was rare.
Yeah. But there are now enemies where it's like, oh, you need to sprint so you don't get hit. And then in order to justify that, they're like, okay, well, if we're going to ask the player to sprint all the time and incentivize them to sprint, we should probably put an ability tied to the sprinting. So now you can like, there's a Poseidon boon that gives you a wave that pushes enemies back when you run through them.
Cool.
There's one that inflicts daze. Like, it's so sick.
Did you get the one where it's if you're sprinting, any projectile will disappear and it'll catch the person who sent the projectile at you on fire. So anytime I was like, okay, I'm attacking, and anytime I see a projectile, I'm just running right out this projectile. They evaporate before me, and then I see the little dude 100 feet away like catch it on fire. I'm like, hell yeah, that rules.
Last thing, say about Hades 2, and then we'll take another quick break and head to emails. I saw Jordan Midler tweet yesterday that the boss of the second area of Hades 2 is the best boss in both games and maybe any roguelike. And
True.
my man is 100% dead on.
It's so fucking true. All I want to do is talk about it, but I won't.
Yeah.
Because it is so their mechanic. There is a. I can't.
Good.
It's so fucking good. Like it's already one of my favorite moments in games this year, and it's May.
Jeff Grubb.
Yeah. How many times did it take you all to beat Hecate, the first major boss? Hecate, yeah, however you say it.
Delicious.
It's Hecate. Delicious Hecate with a little lime in there. Yum. A third run. I was kind of fucking around the first.
Oh yeah,
two.
but how many times against the boss at least though? How many times did you like fight the boss herself?
Twice.
3.
Okay. Yeah.
Before I beat her.
Yeah, before you beat her. Yeah.
Yeah, 3.
Okay. I beat her first try, but Mike did as well, and he texted me because he was like, "Oh, I want you to know I beat it first try." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I get it. I did too.
Yeah.
Problem."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I purposely threw it the first time.
Sure, of course.
Just so I could.
For sure. I wanted to see what would happen.
Yeah, I had this awesome boon that made my my spirit attack just do it twice. Every time I hit the button, she just does it twice, and I was just destroying everything.
Which is like that's crazy.
It was quite easy actually. Yeah, with that.
There are so few when it fucking chugs, like it goes. Like when all of this stuff is popping off and it feels like the game is really like in the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's nothing like it. Like it really does feel like so rewarding when you are faced, and also those little moments, right, where you're sitting at the crossroads and you're like, okay, do I have enough money to buy a thing, but there's a enhanced boss version of this boon behind this door. Do I want to go buy this stuff and then take the like that decision making is so nice. Like it's such cool. And it's like I
understand watching folks play like a roguelike can be frustrating, but I do really enjoy watching friends play Hades 2 and the original Hades as well, just because of how different everyone's builds are.
Yeah.
Like I saw a little bit of Mike playing it. I saw a little bit of Bailey playing it yesterday. I'm like, we treat this game 100% differently, don't we?
Completely differently.
Yeah.
Miss me with Aphrodite.
Yeah.
I'll give
you know what? I just like looking.
I don't give a fuck about weak. Yeah, I'll look at her.
Yeah.
But I got plenty of JPEGs for that.
That's true. That's true. Plenty of JPEGs. Good. Well, folks, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back with your emails right after this. Emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address to send your emails to. If you were looking for your Chili's receipt from the other night for your one alcoholic beverage, I guess hit me up if you need that for finance purposes. Also, please stop.
What?
I freaked out when I saw an email hit the thing saying like, your Chili's order, here's your Chili's receipt. And I thought like, oh no, my Airbase card got fudged with. Oh no, I got hacked. And then I saw that someone just sent me their Chili's receipt. So thanks for that.
What was Dan like worried about at PAX with like a card? Wasn't there something like weird shenanigans? It was like,
Oh, he's worried. I usually ignore him at this point.
Yeah.
at this point, you're kidding?
Yeah, you just take a deep breath, say, "Oh, honey."
Oh,
yeah,
honey.
you just like, what is it? Like you hand rainfall his face?
Oh yeah,
Waterfall.
Yeah.
it's
You know,
fine.
just like,
It's okay. Put a blankie over him, and then
go
he'll be
to
fine.
sleep. Go to sleep. Look, it's nighttime now.
Send your fun emails with if you want to avoid a social interaction or you want to co-write an email with someone you're on your first date with. Have you ever thought about that on a first date?
That's a good use. That's a good idea, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
So send an email.
Yeah,
both
like-
of you send an email to this
It's,
website.
it's quaint.
Oh,
Yeah.
It is.
That's
It's
cute.
like a thing to do. It's the thing to do.
I had a really good friend tell me that his ideal first date, and I don't know what his success rate for this was, bro, like, I think taking someone to do laundry is a good first date. I'm like, what are you fucking talking about?
That's insane.
Yeah, that is. There's
Um,
just no way that's true. I mean,
Hey,
that's all I'll
It's so
say.
intimate.
I
I would
had-
I would quicker have sex with a person than do that.
really?
Yes.
Okay.
like I think like you would have to like be on some sort of like dating app that agrees for like a laundromat for like. There's no way you could just like spring that on
$1
somebody.
million idea. We make a dating app.
I have a name for it.
Okay, please drop the name.
Suds and Buds.
Okay. Suds and Buds. I like it. I was
We've got
going
our
to say,
Series A right there.
after you get matched with someone, the app will suggest a miscellaneous random activity. That
Yeah,
you
that's
both
fine.
do.
That's-
Right.
But we could
But
still
you-
call it Suds
you
and
can't-
Buds.
You can't suggest like the laundry thing, 'cause that just makes it sound like you want them to see your dirty underwear.
Yes,
I
exactly.
have soiled these
intimate.
underwear, and I want you to see that.
Okay, see, like I was approaching it from such a freaking wholesome place. You know, I
can't-
even
No,
I
you want
entertained
people
it.
to see your dirty underwear, Jeff Bacalar.
Ugh.
I never
God damn
asked.
it.
I never asked the
Fucking
homie
perv.
how much laundry he was doing on this first date. But then, also I don't believe he got many second dates from this.
Weird.
Yeah. This is also the
I
same.
can't believe it didn't work.
This is also the same friend that apologized to me because he ate a whole ice cream cake that we were saving for someone's birthday, and I'm like,
Well, listen,
Well,
that's
at least it
a
wasn't-
moment
Oh,
of human weakness.
so his underwear
Yeah.
was fucked up.
You can't eat a whole ice cream cake. Like you can't.
Let me tell you.
Put one in front of me. Let's see what happens.
Korean Johnny,
you
he
couldn't
ate that
do it.
whole. He ate that whole cake.
Grow, could you couldn't eat like a whale ice cream, Fudgy the Whale cake? Could you
no,
do that?
not really. No,
I couldn't even.
listen,
Who
I could
can
still
eat a block
whole
of cheese,
pizza.
let alone
I would
a whole
feel
cake?
fucked if I had a whole pizza, but I could. Not a whole ice cream cake. No way.
See, I used to do like this thin crust pizza challenge in high school. I did it 7 or 8 times, and that was fine. No way now. No fucking shot, my dude. No way.
I feel like I could do it, but then I can barely stay up past 11 p.m. now. So I'm.
You be walking around all floatsy and weird and
I'd be in a bad way for sure. Yes.
no shot.
I think out of all of us, Dan is the most impervious to cheese. Can you imagine if he
I
found
don't
out
know.
he was
It's
lactose
fucked him up
intolerant?
pretty bad. It's like fucked him up pretty bad on numerous occasions at this point.
Lactose intolerance, I think, is a mind issue.
You're right. I
Yeah.
agree. I think you can rise above it.
Mhm.
I think, like, if you take enough lactate, you're
It's,
fine.
do
it's
anything.
instead of mind over matter, it's mind over mozzarella.
Yay.
Hey, all right. First email. Real life Blight Club. This comes from Buddy. Hi and glorious bombsters. I've come up with real life Blight Club circumstances for each of you. Fellow bombsters, do you believe these people would make it to the end? FYI, no time limits, all difficulty. Dan, You are on a reality cooking show and Gordon Ramsay is the judge. You must keep competing until you win. It is you and you alone on your team. Oh, I forgot to mention that this is Top Chef Junior. All your opponents are children.
Especially now, he would get too caught up yelling at the other kids. He would get too caught up yelling at the kids.
Gordon is gonna make Dan cry in the pilot.
Yeah.
And then he will be just like taking down a gigantic peg or two, and then all the kids beat up on him. I'm not sure I've been more excited about a fictional thing in my entire life.
Dan would do this.
He would do it, but do you think he would learn how to cook through this?
Yeah, I actually do think so.
Well, okay, because the thing is, the problem would be he would get so used to the kitchen setup at the show that he would go home and it'd be drastically different.
Right, no, he would forget it all. Yeah,
he'd have to remodel his home kitchen to look like the set of Top Chef.
Right. Yeah. Cameras and everything.
Hey, Top Chef, fantastic show. If you ever have Top Chef Z-list internet celebrity, holler at your boy.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun.
The reward.
What's that Kish lady's name?
Kristen Kish.
Kristen Kish. Kristen Kish, come on the show.
Kristen Kish, you want to pop on the dump truck, please?
Come on the dump truck,
Oh
Kristen Kish.
Oh,
Please.
Geez. Oh man,
I love her.
She's great. Sophia Rowe, you want to come on the
program?
The program, please.
Come on the couch.
That's why I want to make a funnel cake now. Grub, Nikki, I forgot to take pictures of this because I may have been under the influence of drugs.
Yeah, but you
I made the savory funnel cake.
Yeah, dude. How was it?
You did?
It was fucked up. Nikki, I took your suggestion.
Yeah.
I bought some carnitas from the taco truck out there.
Yeah.
And then I sprinkled some cotija and that shit and some salsa.
Oh,
boy.
God.
How do you not take a photo of this?
Because I was preoccupied with eating it.
How does this not happen? I don't understand.
Gordita? Was it similar to a gordita?
It's like,
Took you like 2 hours, I bet.
No. The meat was pre-cooked. The funnel cake operation, easy peasy.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten a chalupa from Taco Bell?
Of course.
It's like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like that. Great. So it's like it's soft, it's chewy. Oh my god.
Oh, I'm gonna get a chalupa today. Hell yeah.
If I, you know what, UPF, maybe we'll start the pre-stream early and I'll just make a funnel cake again.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Let's do it.
Bacalar. You must spend an entire day at Magic Kingdom with Dib and Minotti. Parentheses, your wife stayed at home. And your goal is to ride every ride the park has in one day. Dib is genuinely interested in everything Minotti has to say and constantly ask him how the Kingdom Hearts lore fits into each area of the park. It is July and you have no sunscreen. Every time you sigh,
he's fucked.
Every time you sigh, the day starts over again.
Wait a minute. Wait a fucking minute, okay? This is so dumb because I guess I just die. Like I guess I just
you come back to life every time you sigh, but you are living that for the rest of your life. I'm sorry.
How could sunscreen be a thing here that is withheld from me? What are we doing?
You just go buy one of those umbrella hats, right? That cover your.
Guess what? It's called reflections, and the light is really good at doing it. I will get burnt.
But it's okay because the reward is you're immune to the sun afterwards.
Oh, see,
Forever.
that's a thing I don't think I want either. I think like everything about this sounded delightful. I would absolutely go to Magic Kingdom for an entire day, have Mike Minotti be our freakish little tour guide, and Dib and I sit in shotgun, learning all about the little nooks and crannies of the Magic Kingdom.
Do you think it would be like Groundhog Day where it's like, he was doing that for 10,000 years or whatever? Do you think it would be like that long before you'd be able to accomplish this without sighing?
I'm never going to do it. Because it'll never happen. Maybe it's the secret to living forever, but that's what's going to happen because I won't have sighed because of the knowledge or the existence of the Magic Kingdom.
What if you don't figure out the sighing thing until like the third or fourth run?
I'm just saying the sun will cook me to death. I die before I can sigh.
Yeah, the sigh will be your last breath.
Yeah.
Right. And the sigh is like the one way to guarantee you don't wake up with that sunburn the next day. So it's like,
oh my
this
God,
is my way out.
You guys You don't even know what it's like to be sunburned.
I'll never
Maybe
know.
you do,
That's not
Grub.
true.
I
do.
definitely do. And I think you could still be worse than me. And if that's the case, oh boy, you are. That's terrible.
This
I've been sunburned once.
fucking star. It is not okay. I know it's how life came through. Great. Okay. It's the bane of my existence. I am that shadow hopping video game. That is me.
Your reward, Bacalar, sun immunity and sun quality time.
Oh, I love the half of that.
Grub, you must go to Nintendo headquarters and you must convince Nintendo to take you off their blacklist. Crap. I forgot to mention that you don't have an appointment and you have to sneak in, and if you get caught, you must start over. Also, you are cosplaying as Wario for all of it. No save scumming the conversation.
Well, then, no, I definitely won't be able to do this if I can't save scum like Bacalar can. If I don't have a Groundhog's Day situation, I get like probably shot and killed in this scenario.
Do you think you learn each run, or is
You
it
have
you
to.
just
I don't think
start
I-
fresh?
Listen, if I got a run, if it was run based, I would eventually do it. But nothing here says that it's run based. I can't save scum the conversations. It doesn't sound like I'm not doing a Groundhog's Day situation. So
I assumed
Yeah.
these were all run based.
Oh,
I don't know
and
why I
now,
just did.
now it has been added to the email here.
it's run based now, Nikki. Okay, in that case, 1,000,000%.
I
may pull this
love
off.
early access emails, you know?
Yeah, it's the best way to do it.
You're
In a Groundhog Day scenario, I think I could do most things eventually. It would probably be like 1,000 years, but I would be able to do it. I figured out the exact scenario of being in a Wario costume and getting Miyamoto to give me his blessing. Yeah, that could happen.
Oh, you would do it in less than 1,000 years.
Probably.
Yeah.
okay.
I think it would take you probably 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think you
so,
master
yeah.
it quick.
Your reward, you're off the blacklist, lifetime supply of Nintendo discounts.
Oh, those coupons you've wanted.
All right,
so,
cool. $5.
Yeah.
That $5 coupon they put in a magazine for when they like broke the law. Yeah. Okay.
Ooh. Minati, you must protest the new Hollow Knight Silksong game outside of Team Cherry Studio every day until the day it releases in 1.0, advocating for bug rights. The developers boycott you in a fit of fury, denouncing the Minati name on all social media platforms. You are dressed as a caterpillar and hatch as a butterfly each day in a performance art fashion, proclaiming the bugs should create their own sequel. The more believable your protest, the sooner the game comes out. The less believable your protest, the more it is delayed. I think he could do it.
I think he could do it too. Yeah.
He'd get it done in like 2 hours.
Right. I don't think he would like if it was a situation where like, no, you have to do this. We're making you do this. I think he would go all out and make it happen.
Yeah. Reward, you get to play Silksong first, and Team Cherry admits you were a marketing stunt.
Oh, cool. So you get let off the hook. All right.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Buddy, from an island in Florida, I'm going to ask you email again and fill out the rest of the GB roster. I'd love to see Nikki's
These are
Blight,
good.
Sean's
Yeah, it was
Blight,
fun.
Bailey's Blight, Tam's Blight, Lucy's Blight. And then finally myself. You must drive...
You want me to read this for you?
Sure, please.
Okay. Jan, you must drive an urgent mission to supply the East Coast with Pokemon cards. You are riding shotgun with a semi-driver hauling booster boxes of Pokemon cards. They are chatting with you over all things Pokemon. You must never say the word Pokemon and can never say a Pokemon's name. You have to keep the conversation going and not ignore him. There is a slot machine in front of you.
Son of a bitch.
In the cab? I don't understand.
In the cab with 1 to 20 odds to skip an hour of the drive, and it has a 30-minute cooldown. It's a 45-hour drive. Fail the slot or say a forbidden word and you start over. The driver is also Donald Trump.
Oh my God. This went from okay to hell on fucking earth.
I was thinking like, oh, I could like just schmooze my way through a
Yeah.
conversation. I could pretend to sleep, perhaps.
That's
Also-
Snorlax. He's very lazy. The people are saying he's very lazy.
Also, what the fuck? Well, 1 out of 20 to skip 1 hour? In no way are you ever like incentivized to try and do that. That's crazy.
Well, it
Well,
doesn't seem
is
like
there
there's
any
a
penalty
negative.
for losing?
No.
Yeah,
if you
it starts
lose
over.
the
The day
slot,
starts
it
over.
starts over.
The day starts over. The drive starts over.
Oh, I'm jumping out of the truck. Is that an option?
30-minute
starts over.
cooldown. Like, fail the slot or say a word, you start over. Also,
or
is
die.
Trump behind the wheel?
Yep. Oh boy.
Jesus fucking
man.
Christ.
I could do it. I know it's not. I could probably do this.
You could
I could probably
sit shotgun with Trump
45 hours is rough.
for 45
but yeah.
hours.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
listen, you don't have a choice, right? So
I don't have a like. I'm trying. I'm sleeping for most of it.
no, you have to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think I would.
I'm jumping out of the
baffle him
truck.
I think I would try and baffle him with bullshit, so he would wind up being quiet, and then I would become the annoying one in the situation.
Okay,
So I would.
yeah, there you
yeah.
go.
This is how the turntables and everything.
Right.
Mm.
Good point.
All right. The reward: semi-truck of Pokemon cards and an extra truck for Barbara Jan. All right. If Barbara Jan's on the line, then I will.
Yeah,
I'll
you got to do
buy
it for
through
Barbara
that idea.
Jan. You would do it.
From an island in Florida, Buddy. Buddy, thank you so much for
Thank
this
you,
very
Buddy.
detailed and lengthy
That was
email.
great, buddy. Good job.
All right. That was a long email. Let's just read maybe one more. This comes from Quentin, also from Florida. This is about disc golf. Hello, bombers. Longtime listener, first time emailer. I always wanted to send an email, but never knew quite what to say or what junk subscription to subscribe you guys to. Never in my wildest dreams what would I have imagined the only other thing in my life as important as video games to me as video games would be brought up on this podcast. Disc golf is truly so much fun.
Oh, cool.
I'm happy to hear a member of the Bombcast enjoyed playing and might bring a new audience to the game. No question, just a word of warning for anyone curious about the sport. I started playing during the pandemic to stay active because I was sold on the idea of a cheap hobby. 4 years later, and hundreds of discs purchased, I can safely say I will never be able to financially recover from this hobby. But in all seriousness, I highly recommend giving it a shot. It truly is a great time getting out there, as it's one of those easy to pick up, hard to master things. Happy throwing, Quentin from Florida.
Yeah, I'm not better than disc golf. I think like there's certainly like I'm like a fall, autumn disc golf person is probably what the season for me. But it sounds lovely. I'm super into it.
Yeah, and it's got to be like cheaper than like buying clubs for actual golf, right?
for
So
sure.
like,
Oh, it's
so
not even close.
so
Can't be close.
hundreds of discs, but still, like I think it's more affordable than a lot of other sports.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at Chavez Ridge Disc Golf Course, and that's only going to be, it's right behind Dodger Stadium, so that's only
I'm going to
15
discmaps.com.
it's
I
only
also think,
15 minutes.
I also think any place can be a disc golf course, right? Like I feel like
Yeah, if you get a trash can, yeah, anything.
you
is
just need like
possible.
chains and a trash can, right? Like
Yeah.
a bucket.
Yeah.
Y'all fuck with Can Jam?
Yeah, sometimes
What's Can Jam?
Fucking love
it's like
Can
a
Jam.
beach thing.
Mm.
Yeah, Can Jam. It's two trash cans, and both of the trash cans have slots,
Like a little mailbox
like mail
slot.
slots in them.
Mhm.
You get more points if you eat the disc through the slot. Otherwise, you're trying to slam the disc into the top of the bin, as it's tossed to you.
What's
It's
the
great.
what's the mini trampoline ball game too? What's that called?
Spike
Slam ball.
Spike ball, slam ball, spike ball.
slam
Slam
ball.
ball is the greatest American pastime.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the trampoline basketball.
The
Yeah,
greatest
spike
American
ball.
pastime.
Spike ball, yeah.
Squirrel's
Nikki's got
nest.
it.
All right, I found mine.
That's
Slam
just
ball's
fun.
coming. Slam ball's coming back soon. Couple weeks.
Oh, I
Slam
guess
ball
all the
season 2.
lawsuits have been settled. Is that
The
is that what
Olympics.
that means?
It came because it came back. It came back last year. In Vegas. Can you believe it? They'll let you do it in Vegas.
Oh my god.
Weird.
You know, going back to disc golf, it's funny. Like one time, I saw like a disc golf hole with the chain, and I was just like, "What is
Yeah.
this?" You see it, and you're just like, "What kind of alien contraption
Yeah.
is this?" It has
Weird
no
bird
like,
prison.
yeah, like what a strange prison for some sort of aviary prison. I don't
It's the Hannibal
understand.
Lecter of birds. Yeah.
Who's torturing these sparrows? It's a weird looking thing. That's all.
All right.
How much is a
putting
good
one in my
set of
cart.
discs?
Yeah, I was just doing that.
Like 25.
Send it to your middleman. Don't forget, Grub.
Okay,
Send it to your
get it on my
middleman
middleman.
first.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna get the overall pick here, the one that is $40. I'm gonna go with that.
Oh, okay.
How many discs in that bad boy?
Is it just 3?
Let's see here. The Innova Disc Golf Starter Set, colors may vary, 160 to 180 grams. It's got a disc golf putter, a disc golf driver, mid-range, PDGA approved disc golf set, frisbee golf disc set. It looks like there's 6 or 5 total, or maybe
What?
6 if the little one counts.
What makes a frisbee a putter? Like I
It's
know,
smaller.
I
It's
know.
like it's the weight, I think,
Yeah,
and like
it's
the
It's,
smaller.
shape.
it's like heavy. It's probably heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's denser, so you when you're putting, You're just right there versus like a big wobbly boy.
There's a bunch of numbers on these I don't understand. There's fairway driver, mid-range disc. They all look kind of the same in terms of shape. So it must be like
speed
density.
7, glide 5, turn 0, fade 2.
Oh,
This one has a turn rating of -2.
Okay.
You know how there are driving ranges for golf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just want a disc golf driving range. Just
That's just a
a
street.
bunch of frisbees.
That's just a street. It's
I
going to a
think,
straight
I think
street.
that's a park. I think that's
Yeah.
like the
I want to get
closest
a
park.
bucket of discs.
Okay, let's
just
do
come
this.
out of
But
a
let's also do ultimate frisbee in LA. Let's just have
Okay,
ultimate
this-
frisbee.
So now that is a sweaty sport where disc
No.
golf is like
No,
a
because you're not allowed to
non-sweaty
run if
sport.
once you hold the frisbee. You have to stand
You
still.
gotta run
You're
to
moving
get
a
it. You
lot
gotta,
still.
yeah, there's a ton of running. What are you talking about?
Okay.
I'm just trying to get you to play ultimate frisbee with
I
me.
played ultimate. I'll fuck with that. Hell
No,
yeah.
This is the most triumphant story from my high school experience. You know,
hell yeah!
I
This is what made you prom king.
okay, maybe second most triumphant.
Wow.
We don't need to relitigate this. But I was never the most athletic. I dreaded PE because like I could not dribble a basketball to save my life. I'm not one of those Filipinos. I could kind of swing a ball and
You
stuff.
could
but
swing a ball? What do you
swing
mean?
a bat for baseball and all these other
Okay.
sports. Hated when we were running a mile on Fridays. But then when our PE teacher introduced us to the beautiful game that is ultimate frisbee, I got paired with like all of the other fellow people that were uncoordinated. But we fucking won medals because we obliterated
Hell
every
yeah.
team. Because for whatever reason, my group of hooligans understood the game, and then we would always just do the hammer toss, which is just throwing it vertically and just whiffing that and just Hail Marying that bad boy. We'd make it across. It'd be great.
I like
yeah.
that.
Ultimate
I like
frisbee.
that.
It's a great sport. We should do it. We
Hell
should
yeah.
play ultimate frisbee. What's kind of
Hell
funny
yeah.
doing?
Oh
One of the
yeah,
days.
the beach games. Just we'll take them out there. Okay.
That's
Instead
good.
of playing dodgeball, let's play ultimate frisbee.
Yeah, get up at 5
I
a.m.
feel like Snow Bikel is probably so good at.
Well, he's
fucking
gonna
ultimate.
rally the troops. He's gonna be a real
Yeah.
problem, but we'll just take him out first thing.
We'll take him out
Go
first.
along, Greggy. I'm gonna get you, bud. Like that kind of thing.
Oh, he's here.
It's so funny. And he's fucking 11 feet tall too. Like you don't realize how tall Bikel is.
You know how like people will spin a basketball on their finger? That'd be Snow Bikel with like a frisbee. He'd just be like,
Yeah.
"Hey Jan, I'm spinning the disc, buddy."
I got you right here, Jan. Yeah, for sure.
God, it's so good. Bikel, you're a man. You're like pistachio disguisio. Has anyone ever told you that?
Yeah.
Many times. Many times. You're not the first, and I
Yeah,
hope
he
you're
was
not
the
the
first one to
last.
tell me about 9/11. So yeah, that's exactly he's exactly pistachio disguisey. Yeah.
God, is there a Master of Disguise video game that we could fool Jeff Backlard?
Oh,
to play?
I wish. God, I wish,
Man.
but I don't think so.
Imagine the world where that was the franchise to take off and not Austin Powers.
Uh-huh.
God.
Folks, that is it for emails. Thank you for sending all of your emails into bombcast@giantbomb.com. What do we got going on for the rest of the week? It's a whole bunch of stuff as always.
Yeah, I mean, do we even really know in our hearts? Daikatana returns. Daika Grubba Tana tomorrow. I'll also be playing some more New Vegas tomorrow as well. So that'll be fun. There will be Game Mess mornings the rest of the week. Thursday. What are we doing Thursday during the day? I forget.
We may be checking back in with Helldivers 2 now that that whole snafu is kind of situated. The dust is settled and stuff.
Sounds good. Yep. And then we will do UPF. We'll have BCR this week. It'll be a good time.
Yes.
And we have a voicemail dump truck, a special one, Jan.
special
Tell us
one.
about that.
Special
At a special
dump truck.
time.
Special time. It is an hour later than it normally is. 707 exit flu. Send your voicemails, not about any marquee wrestling shit, just about cool guy shit, because we will have friend of the site, Evil Uno, and Adam Cole, baby, on the pod. So that'll be fun. Love Evil Uno. What a nice guy.
They're awesome.
Chugs, also very, very sweet individual. Grub, did you mention Blight Club? You did, right?
Yeah, Blake Club at 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Yes. Also, hey, this Sunday, folks, it's Mother's Day. So get that shit figured out.
All right,
Take care of it
chocolate
now.
dip, strawberries.
Or don't.
Or don't.
Yeah, no, or don't for real, because like not everyone has a great situation there. So
Yeah.
I understand that.
Do what you need to do.
Buy yourself flowers in that instance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're your own parent.
Yeah.
And that's valid and okay too. So give yourself the space if you need the space.
We're just if you are obliged, we're just a helpful reminder.
Yeah, helpful reminder.
Helpful reminder. And you know what? This is also a helpful reminder because we're just going to go over what did we learn today?
Yeah. What did we learn?
What did we learn? This is the wrong music cue, but we're going to go with it anyway.
Yeah, what the fuck is this?
I don't know. It's
Shit
like
rules,
Donkey
though.
Kong adjacent. We learned that maybe we can't trust big corporations. We learned that the hot Olympics might not matter anymore, and then the cold Olympics are far superior. We learned that Kirby's mouth could be cold dry. More Hades is good. And don't let the gamer juice touch your hands. Sometimes you also go up. We also learned that we all have plenty of JPEGs. And hey, we'll never know Bakalar's pain and relationship with the sun.
It's true.
And folks, that's what we learned this week. I love it. Just like I love this podcast. And we'll do another one of these podcasts later in the week. BCR, maybe we'll do the hottest moms in gaming. Or best moms in gaming. Who knows? I'm going to take topic suggestions. And we will see you next week for another episode of the Giant Bombcast. Oh, this is the old music's not playing. Go, stop.
It's a good podcast.
Oh God.
No,
Oh,
this
God.
is
Too many
good.
songs.
What's happening?
What's happening? I'm chasing